Monessen City Council meeting will come to order. Call the roll.
Councilor Grigor.
Present.
Councilor Wojciechowski. Here. Councilman Coles. Here. Councilwoman Thomas.
Here.
Mayor Sherrod.
Here. Please rise for the pledge of flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The auditors are not here yet, so we're going to let the community group, it's item 13 on the agenda, the last page, we're going to let them go first. When the auditors get here, we'll just pause and let them come in. So whoever is representing the community group regarding South 14th and Reservoir.
I'm Ron Moser, 25 Colonial here in Monessen, and for several years I've been working with some of the residents out there at the area of 14th and Reservoir. And it's been going. There's been issues that's been going on for several years. They've been asking the police to come up and do things, and the police have responded. I'm not criticizing the police any at all. But there are some things that are going on that have now come to light that we really need to make sure that everybody in town understands. And I've got to say that although this problem's at 14th and Reservoir I'm talking about, I've gotten the same kind of complaints from other residents in other parts of the town. So we need to really keep this in mind. First off, the residents up there formed a neighborhood watch. The purpose of Neighborhood Watch was to give them a unified voice in what is going on. There is an ordinance that is in place by the city of Monessen that talks about nuisance houses and nuisance neighborhoods. And there are certain penalties associated with that if it meets certain guidelines. Now, you can't evict somebody for this. That would be very difficult for the city to evict somebody, but you can fine them for doing different things. So what are we talking about? Well, there was 911 calls made to the 911 center for events that were happening there. 3 times they occurred on 6/3, 6/5, and 8/22 of 21, and 8 more times on 7/11, 7/12, 7/17, 7/18, 7/28, 8/1, 8/20, and 9/5. And you say, what are these calls all about? Well, on 6/3, there were shots fired in the alley behind 649 South 14th Street. These are juveniles. Can we prove that they're guns? I don't know. Go look at the shells and see where the bullet struck. They're guns. They're not toy guns. Bullet holes were discovered in a car window on 6/5. On 7/10, juveniles were in the street not allowing traffic to go by. On 7/17, 2 shots were fired. On 7/18, another shot was fired in the backyard. And 7/28, shots were fired again. On 8/1, shots were fired from a porch. Now, I've been up there, and it is common for the kids to have toy guns. They think it's fun. The problem is, not all these toy guns are toy guns. Some of them are real. And that it becomes a very issue. That becomes a deadly scene when you mix toy guns with real guns. And it is happening right here in our city. And this has got to stop. It's just simply got to stop. This cannot go on. There are episodes of them pulling cars over as they come to a stop, surrounding the car, attacking the people that are in the car, stealing possessions. It's just ridiculous. So what am I asking? I think that these events that I've documented here and I've given packets to everybody meet the requirements that the city ordinance 273-1 has for this type of thing. Or excuse me, 273, yes. And it specifies some violations that have occurred. They've got the adequate number of 911 calls that have been made. The police have done their part. Now it's time for the city to step up and do their part. What I'm asking is that the city take this information and file a complaint with our magistrate judge and see if the magistrate judge can levy a fine on them and see if something can be done. Now, I will say a couple of things. Because of the neighborhood watch, because of the pressure that has been applied in the last few days, one of the residents say that they will evict the people that are living there because they haven't paid their rent in 2 months, and they owe them some $1,900. The other one across the street hasn't paid their rent in 7 months. Now, he claimed that there was a moratorium and they couldn't evict him. Well, that moratorium is over with now. As of the 27th of last month, the Supreme Court put an end to that. So no longer is that an issue. Hopefully they will be evicted, but I still hope that the city will follow through with the ordinance, show the community that the ordinance does have some teeth to it, that fines can be levied if you do not follow the rules, you act inappropriately, you threaten life and liberty, you vandalize property. That is not tolerable. And there are ordinances that say you can't do that. I'm asking that the city follow through and do those ordinances. That is it.
One of the other things that's on the agenda tonight, in tandem with that, is we're amending the curfew ordinance. So if you were here last month, you heard about that. The curfew ordinance, according to the police, there was a loophole. It did not cover sidewalks and rights-of-way. It only covered the road. So we amended the curfew ordinance, which we'll vote on tonight, to cover sidewalks and rights-of-way too.
And I would like to add one more thing too. This is not the same community that it was 30, 40 years ago when as kids we were running around on the streets. There are differences in the ethics, the morals, everything that the kids are learning today. And it's a sad thing, but somehow or other, the churches and us as individuals need to reach out to these people and try to enforce that. Social services needs to be involved. Somehow or other, we've got to instill this back into our young because they are our future, and I am all for that.
Well, I have a question. You keep saying them, and they're going to, you want them penalized. Who's them?
These two houses, and it spells out in this.
No, were there individuals caught by the police?
These individuals have been talked to by police.
Who were the?
There have been a couple of arrests, but I don't know the details on that.
Yeah, but you figure people in one house don't have all these kids running around. It's been going on for years. Okay? Years. How many years? I lived on 10th Street. It was bad then. Okay, that's why I'm out of there. I don't live there anymore. Yeah. Okay? But he's talking about stuff that there's no control. Because the kids don't have nothing to do, no place to go. You find someplace for them to go and spend their time, and somebody could teach them something. You don't do that.
I am all for
Matter
that.
of fact, nobody does.
That's right. 9th Street Park needs to be.
They don't care.
That's right. 9th
What's 9th Street Park? A running track.
That's right. 9th Street Park needs some lights, it needs some shade, it needs some repaving, it needs some attention.
9th Street Park is fine. There ain't nothing wrong with 9th Street Park. I mean, we play
Yes,
ball
it
up
needs
there.
to resurface.
When they're in the ball field, we play
Excuse
ball.
me, there's plenty that needs done.
Yes.
We've been trying for over 2 years to get those courts resurfaced, both of them. And also, not just down 9th Street, why can't we even use, there's kids up there, why can't we even use the Agape old building and resurface that court so that there can be basketball up there? We had hoops everywhere for every neighborhood so the kids had something to do. And we might not be able to put them everywhere we had them before, but we can put them in specific local areas where there are a majority of kids.
They don't do that.
Right, but it needs to be done. It needs to be done.
Before, there was a regular
Right.
that helped.
But it needs to be done. There's money that can be used from CDBG that can be funded for that. So it's a matter of us making it a priority to do that for these kids.
And now you have a use for it.
These
too.
Right.
kids,
That's right.
these kids in this town don't have nothing to do.
I agree. I've been saying that all along.
They're running wild. Their parents don't care. And if their parents don't care, somebody that does care could help them kids. All right? But there's nothing for them to do. They can't play nowhere.
I
And
agree.
what's left for them to get in trouble?
In the
I
back.
agree.
Hi, Vernon here. As a father, I just say we do care. I absolutely agree with the gentleman in the front, though, that what is needed is an outlet for the children. Not only do we need to care about them and teach them, but we need to give them an outlet for their expressions. So basketball, hoops, soccer yards, whatever we have to do to give them an outlet so they don't want to take toy guns and run the road, and may they be real guns, who knows? But I also believe that we need to listen to Ron Moser on what he said on enforcing this ordinance that is already in place, so that it gives us teeth and sets an example so that future incidences can be, oh, well, back on this date, they had some teeth and they went after these people. I don't want to go and do that. I believe that doing this enforcement will give this policy teeth. And then those two principles, giving an outlet and then showing that, hey, we will make a stand if you go against this, is the correct procedure. I think that those two policies would go greatly to curb this incident.
And I agree wholeheartedly. On Saturday night, the fear of seeing a woman stop 9:30 at night at a stop sign on a residential street in our town and have 12 to 14 teenagers jump her car, break her back window, when she got out to actually confront them and dropped her wallet. When she got back in her car to pull it around the corner, those kids stole her wallet. The woman was just traumatized. I mean, this is what we need, as he was saying. We need the teeth in this, because this is what we have been living with.
Did she file a police report?
I believe so.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Nothing came of it?
I
The
don't
police
know.
came up there, they looked for it, they couldn't find it. They couldn't go into the yard to look for the wallet because that'd be trespass
Right.
without a search warrant.
What street did this happen on, Mr. Moser?
14th and Reservoir.
I'm not sure. I think there's probable cause if someone reports that they were robbed there.
I would hope so.
I'm not law enforcement,
Neither are we, but that's what we watched.
but you would think that the police,
Police came. Police showed
I
up.
think we need to talk to the police. And I noticed that we have copies that we were filing against these individuals as far as the property owners. Has that gone to court?
No.
Has-
Has gone, the filings, have they gone to K2? That, you know, for, the two houses on Reservoir and stuff? Have they gone to what? To K2, like the code for.
There's no code violations.
Well, the nuisance ordinance is part of the code, so.
Well, I'm seeing where Todd Carter filed something on September 15th, 2020, and it went out to him. Did anything happen from there?
No. And Dawn,
Nobody
it's
will
not
step
just-
forward and point out the people who did it. That's the problem. Nobody's going to step forward and tell the police that guy did it or that guy did it. That's the problem. When they step forward, the police will take care of it, and it will end.
They have, but that's not necessarily
Yes,
true.
we all did.
It has to
All
happen.
of
We
us.
did
We
They've all
did.
stepped forward and
We
done
all.
that.
You've got to
Bullet
assist
holes
the
through
police.
windows. You go to sleep
My
at
son
night.
got a bullet hole in his car window.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of any of those kids. I step forward all the time.
And when it first started happening, we went out there and talked to them. We told them about the
Nobody in
Lord
power
and
listens.
everything, and they respected us. But
Yeah.
they started
Yeah.
over.
Everything went to the police,
Yes,
Dawn.
we did. The
Everything
police,
did.
I think the police were coming, because every time we called, they came.
Well, we have some good cops in Monessen, no question of that. But I'm just not quite sure if you, I think we need to find out what the investigation.
It's been on video.
We have.
It's on
we've had-
video.
The Monessen police have been there one night, the Ross Draver police were there, the
Oh,
state
yeah.
police were there, Lenore was there one night.
Yeah, we
And
don't know
nobody
why
stepped
that-
forward to
yeah,
tell
the newspaper's
who
not
did it.
picking up on it.
Who did what?
I'm sorry, but that's not the case, John. They
No,
are
no,
stepping
John,
forward.
no,
Well, we need to find out what's going on with the police
no.
department.
We meet the criteria as nuisance houses 10 times over. According to your ordinance, they need to be fined. I mean, we can no longer live like this. We have no quality of life. You go to bed, you hear a gunshot. Oh, get up and call the police again? I mean, this is just constant with us. They've got property damage. A gentleman over here was accosted, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, but where does she live at?
Right?
Right there.
We're all neighbors.
We're all
We're all
neighbors.
neighbors.
South 14th Street.
This is pretty much the neighborhood watch group, and they're scattered all through back here.
And Mr. Mayor, also, like I'm a social service agency, they said they're trying to evict the residents. Nothing was in the newspaper stating there's issues going on there. So if I have funds for rental assistance, if they're being evicted, I have no clue that it's coming,
Well,
where
to
it's
my
coming
knowledge,
from.
no one's been evicted. That's the first I've heard of it, so
But they need- but
it's
you
not us
understand what I'm
evicting
saying.
them, it's
Right,
them.
but as, if it was in the newspaper that, like, reported, it used to be when someone called the police and there was a real crime, it was in the newspaper. I don't read that anymore, whereas, so now, had it been in the paper, I could have read, you know what I mean, like at this address.
I don't know what, like, how, if they do
But we
all
all
of the
need to work
police
together,
reports, or,
yeah.
I mean, the chief sends the police reports.
But I don't want to
I
be paying
know if they
someone's
put them
rent
all.
that's blowing out your car window.
Exactly.
Right.
But we do thank the police. They've
Yes.
got a job that,
Yes.
as soon as they get there, the kids scatter. They come back 5 minutes later, and this is constant. It's just hide and seek, and these poor police are trying to do something to
I've
help
been
us.
working with the police on this for some time, and they are doing an excellent job at
Yes,
trying
they are.
to do it. They're patrolling the neighborhood much more often. You place 911, they get up there quick. But I promise you, they can have the music blaring as loud as they possibly can with kids running around. As soon as they see the police car coming
Boom.
around the corner,
Right.
it goes quiet and they scatter. They're gone. By the time the police get there, in the half a block that they got there, they're gone.
And may I say something? 5 o'clock in the morning.
What about the out-of-towners that are up there creating
I don't
some of the
think these are out
situation?
of towners.
This is all local, John.
Duquesne,
This is local, John.
Clarendon, Braddock?
No.
Maybe, but
Here's
not
the
in this
thing.
particular
Here's the
group.
thing, there's not been any arrests.
There has been.
No, there
There has been. How many arrests?
I think two.
Is there any ongoing investigations?
I know that they've been working on it, so.
We know one of the kids in 1216 was arrested for a gunshot. He's on probation. And now we're getting nothing but
He was
trouble.
released on probation?
He has a probation officer that comes.
One of them, the parents are very rarely ever there. And
If you release a juvenile, they're turned over to their parents.
Okay. We still got gunshots going on over there. I mean,
Then what?
Right.
what do you want us to do? Learn how to duck
That's
better?
another situation.
Can I say something? I know when I was a young kid, they had a curfew here in town.
There still is a curfew.
No.
They had a 10 o'clock.
Doesn't work up there.
And believe me, a policeman would see us on the street. And buddy, we had business with the police department, all right? Why can't we do that now? Why is it illegal to drive somebody that's violating the curfew?
Well, like I said
And they
before,
and make their parents pay a fine for being out there on the street.
one of the things that we're doing is amending the curfew ordinance because the sidewalks and the rights of way weren't in there. So they could be in the street and it's against curfew, but if they're on the sidewalk,
Hey, they didn't care back then
No,
where
they
you
didn't.
was at.
To be walking in the
If
street
you
or
was
whatever.
on the street, period. You was in the street, period, after curfew, they picked you up.
That's right,
And
they
then
do.
parents would have to come and get them. All right, and that's the way it should be. I don't know why you were dragging your feet about grabbing them kids up and running the streets.
Lawsuits.
We are tonight, I don't care who
You
they are.
can't violate their civil rights.
Go
Can
ahead.
I say something?
I'm gonna tell you right now, you violate their civil rights,
If you're under 18 and you're out there running the streets,
they have to be breaking the ordinance. If you start grabbing people up in your yards,
yeah, but you got a curfew.
correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, that's a violation of their civil rights. They will sue
Oh,
us.
yeah, in their
Yeah,
yard.
we will lose.
But I'm talking about-
That's why you have ordinances and you make it, enforce the ordinances.
That's the object.
Sorry, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Start shooting back.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. But, as getting back to South 14th Street, the curfew is not working.
No.
There's little kids, 10, 12 years old, out there at 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
Where are the parents? We don't know. Okay, 5 o'clock in the morning, they jumped on my son's car. 5:02, they came back and jumped on it again. It was on video, and my neighbor gave it to the police. And we called the
What day
police.
was that again?
Huh?
What day was that again?
Oh, I can't remember the day.
It's on our list.
It's on the
list.
list. Yeah, everything's on the list.
Because not only did the neighbor have the video on the alley, there was video from the front from the night before when the police came to try and get these kids off the street.
When they scatter from the 14th, they come over to Motherall and Clairton. I know this because I have personally submitted video evidence, and there has been legal action against several minors destroying lamp poles on Monessen city property, which has been, I've even seen the juveniles being arrested for said offense. When they scatter from there, they come over to my street and they destroy all the lamp poles. I have submitted the videotape, and it has been processed by the captain of the police department. So the whole city's affected, not just one part. When they scatter there, they come to my section. And we should be a community, not just this section and that section, and we should understand that this is a problem. And I have video evidence and have submitted it, and action has been, but the city hasn't taken action, and we need to have more teeth on this to really stop it. Also, we need to provide an outlet so that the children don't want to do this. We just really need to take action.
Thank you.
For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Julie and I run the Civic Center now. So I just want to make a comment to what a couple people said. Even the Civic Center used to be a place where kids could go to play basketball and stuff and have fun, be safe, non-violent place, and that was a place where people could send their kids and they wouldn't have to worry about it. Well, once it closed, it left them with nothing to do. But now that we're back open, and I'm finding myself, it's a slow start, but even myself and the rec board can't fix a situation in total by ourselves. And as there are some parents and some guardians and community members who care and who are trying to do things, there's not enough. So you can't say like you want to see a change if no one is willing to do things to make that change. You need everyone in the community to do things. You don't have to run an organization or be the head of something to make a change. You can offer to, we're all the public of Monessen. We can all put something together for the kids to do, so it's not one person's job to find something, and the problem's not going to be fixed overnight, but it's not going to be fixed at all if everyone leaves it to 3 people to try to do something. It has to be a collective group effort if anyone wants to see a change in what these kids are doing.
Absolutely, sir.
And to that effect, the youth board, the new youth board, there is a meeting this Thursday. I believe it's Thursday at 5 here. So if any of you are interested in helping them, they're also going to discuss the homelessness issue that we're seeing with kids squatting in abandoned houses, because that's happening. Yeah. So,
Next to my house.
yeah,
Old
they're
hotel.
all over the place.
416 Motherall Avenue. There's the old hotel.
400.
The 400 Motherall. I'm sorry. No, the opposite side.
On 4th and
Well, 4th and Knox, block house from 4th and Knox.
He's way down Motherwell.
So, Is there anything else on the?
I have a question
with-
for Tim though.
Yes.
I'm looking at this nuisance property designation and what we have to go through. Since we don't have a code enforcement officer, that would fall on the chief of police to file.
Well, and that was one of the things I was going to say. So I think that the next step is you need to refer this situation to the code enforcement officer, whoever's designated to do code enforcement currently for the city, because that's the specific person that's authorized to send the notices of violation out in that 273-7. So whoever is designated to do K2, so this needs to be referred to them to specifically, one, look for additional code violations that they could cite for, and then two, to also have discussions with the police department about violations that have already occurred and that have been documented. Because my understanding is the police have come, they've investigated, they've documented violations and whatnot.
They have to.
So that's good, because then that discussion needs to happen at the code enforcement officer level with the police department and reviewing the files to determine whether other violations exist. And then once the code enforcement officer has confirmed that that criteria has been met, the code enforcement officer then has to send out a notice to the property owners indicating that the property's been designated as a nuisance property, and then the owners have to take action to address that with the tenants in the property. And if it's not addressed thereafter, then the citations can occur, but you have to
When we
have.
send this notice
That was
out,
done.
when we send
Okay,
this,
so
That was done last year with Todd, because Rico's owns the house.
when we sent that out.
We sent it to
to
them.
So to clarify,
But here's what happens is,
was the
unless they
notice-
go beyond the 6 months, they can't get rid of them in the house. Then they pay, and they get another 6 months in court. So they can stay there. You just, very, very difficult to get them out.
Yeah, especially with the moratorium last year.
Yeah.
The notice that was sent out last year, was it a code enforcement violation
It's in
notice?
this packet, I think.
Or was it that it was actually deemed a nuisance property under this ordinance?
It was a,
That was,
It
yeah.
was a-
Because those are
it
two
was a code
separate.
enforcement.
Yeah,
those
these
two
are,
separate.
yeah,
Those
these
look
are
like
different.
code
See,
enforcement
this
violations,
is
not nuisance.
grass.
They look like
Well,
grass
we need
or
to,
weeds.
So
we need to
we need to
research that, if they didn't send the
specifically
nuisance
cite
notice out, we need to do that. I see that the enforcement officer,
That's all it
the
was.
police chief need to sign it jointly.
Yeah, it needs to be, it needs to specifically cite the nuisance ordinance.
And so that's why I say we need to refer this situation specifically to K2 as the code enforcement officer to review that file, make sure of any other existing code enforcement issues, talk with the police department, get that documentation, send the nuisance determination letter out, and then that gets basically our clock to then cite it subsequently if it continues to be a problem. But at least we'll have gone through the steps that are required under the ordinance, so we can link this step back.
I have a question. I think that it was answered in part. Are you saying if the people that were doing the shooting, the people that were there, if they squill on somebody, that's the way to go, right? Then you would do something that they say, well, Joe Blow get the shooting.
I think he was talking
Is
about.
that the right way to go?
I think he was talking about witnesses.
Pardon?
I think he was talking about witnesses.
Yeah.
I think that's what he was.
I'm a
talking
witness in my driver every goddamn day, and I gave name and addresses of one way. It ain't done shit yet.
Really?
I gave name and address
To who?
to the chief, to the cops, to your secretary. What else you want me to do? I seen a car down there on, today is what, Tuesday? Monday, flying the other way. Big deal. Oh, he's drunk. Let him slide, we know it. The same damn thing if you get a ticket. If you get a ticket, get fixed. Right in the city building. Right in the city building,
Well,
please.
for me,
Yeah,
So if you want names, I'll give you a goddamn book with names. I have no problem giving you names,
Anyone-
and I have no one there to say,
anyone
hey,
with
listen, I'm
issues has
afraid.
to
I'm
go.
not afraid.
Anyone with issues has to go through 911. They will not dispatch without going through 911.
But all I see is put a big sign saying, do not enter, because the one way doesn't work. And the people in Montraver, they know who the hell they are. The chief knows who the hell they are. The cops know who the hell they are. Oh, we gotta get them when they're moving. Well, if you're saying you need a name, I tell them that. I'll give you the name and address and do something about it. I've done it for 4 years, and they still got the problem.
Sir.
Hi, I'm Dave. I live on Summit Avenue. Okay, you're talking about, turn this to then turn.
but when you turn them in, retaliation sets in. I've been dealing with the same two kids. Same two kids. The one kid threatened, he was going to beat my butt, okay? I got two beautiful daughters. They're afraid to go outside.
Yeah,
You
same
know?
here.
And it's like every night, same time, from 9 to 9:30 I turn that in. I'm gonna have to worry about them coming, throwing rocks or something at my house.
The community as a whole is afraid to report crimes because of retaliation, period. That's the problem.
Does the neighborhood watch walk the streets?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. When there's a big
Guess what?
crowd,
I'm
we
not
come out
afraid to
in.
retaliate. I'm
We
not
go in the
afraid.
middle of it.
Come on down. I'll show you my way.
Yeah.
But right now, I want you guys to take care of the problem that you got going. For 4 years, I thought it was under control for a little bit. It's out of control.
Still, it ain't down.
I just want to say, I've been working with youth in Monessen for over 20 years now. I've never had a problem with the youth after getting to know the youth. It's all about relationship with the kids. They want to feel respected, and they will respect you. Now, not initially. They're going to test you, and they're going to prove you. But if
I shouldn't have to be proven by
instead of
anything.
yelling at the kids and trying to enforce laws which just tells them and reinforces to them that nobody gives a crap about them, if you build a relationship one-on-one with that youth, you've made a friend for life. And that child is going to try to live up to expectations that you tell them about. Someone here said something, may have been Ron, about teaching the kids the way it should be. They don't know that. They don't get that from their homes or their families. And we can't judicially pass laws against that. It's like, I believe Julian said it very well. You need to have places for the kids to go, build relationships with those kids. I'm sure Captain Sue can tell you the same thing. You build a relationship with that youth, and they are going to respect society. They're going to respect themselves.
Relationships are great, but they still need
Yeah,
to
but I'm
respect
not
the
talking
laws.
about kids. I'm talking about grown men.
Agreed.
Nothing to do with the kids.
What grown
The old-
men?
You know, they're breaking the law every damn day.
Oh, something different.
Okay, so the whole damn thing, I'm telling you, they're grown people, and they think because they know the chief, or they know the cop, or they know somebody in city council, that they get away with it. Well, that's bullshit.
Right. And they do it all the
Yeah,
time.
I feel.
Yeah, they do it all the time. Let me just stop.
That's
Kids, did you go to my mom's and
We have to
right
stay
now?
on topic of South 14th.
They should
Yes.
do what?
To add on to Ms. Marsh's statement, before COVID, and we had youth programs running, and the kids were in school, they were getting structure and discipline in school. They were coming to our building, they were going to the library, they were going different places to their churches for after-school programs. There was a lot of structure and there was a lot of stability. All children need structure, all kids need obedience, discipline. That's part of love. Well, when school closed down and kids started staying home and we weren't allowed having youth in the building, we put in an outside garden so we could continue programming with the youth. But we can't do it every day either. You know what I mean? Well, we try. But I just spoke to a few teachers from Monessen who said the kids coming back into school now, they're seeing disruption in the classroom because it's been a year and a half of no structure, no discipline, and the kids making their own schedule and doing their own rules. It's going to take time to pull that back in, but some of our older teens, that's already in their mind now, and that's a set. We've got to really go after our elementary kids and get them in and get them going. And we used to have a lot of PIC workers, private industry council teams. This year I have one, and that's the only person that applied. But when you get those kids and you start teaching them the soft job skills and you start telling them, like, this is a better way, this is how you go after what you want, it makes a huge difference. But I don't think by any means, even though we do all these youth programs and outreach, we should never overlook crime. And we used to get kids from the magistrate office to do community service. It's been at least 3 years since we've had one youth sent to us for community service, and we work alongside of them and teach them. This is, you did that, that was wrong, this might have been a better way to do it. And I'm not saying, some of them we have like repeats, and then they would end up working for us, and we have kids that went to college, went to the military, beautiful success stories. but we're not working in unison, one, in the community, and two, you have, like, and COVID's still here, and it's causing, we really need to work together. No matter what the youth group is in Monessen, it all needs to come together and branch it out. So if I do youth on Monday, Marcia does it on Tuesday, Julian does Wednesday, somebody else grabs this day and that day. So every night they have somewhere to go and maybe get a hot meal too. If you're hungry, I do stupid stuff when I'm hungry. I don't know about kids, but if the parents aren't home, these kids aren't getting fed well. They're not having a good structure. There's things we can do, but we also can't overlook the bad behavior.
Right.
Like, especially if they're to the point of having guns, I don't really want them in my building at that point. That's a little more than I'm trained to deal with, and I've been to school, so I have a degree to work with the youth and do things, so we have to catch them a little sooner, and we gotta figure out a way with COVID, because it's gonna be here for a long time. How are we still gonna work with our youth?
We need community projects.
Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting a community garden. I have almost an acre
That's
of
when
property.
we have one up by the library, the kids love it, and it's been a beautiful, the families, the moms, the dads, the kids, the grandparents, they all come out and work in that garden. I was there a little earlier this evening. It works, but it takes a lot of effort. It really takes a lot, and it takes hands.
Well, you know, I
Yes.
work with kids.
If my husband didn't cut the grass, we couldn't have the program, so.
Okay, and the ones that I got, that the JP will send us from, for the civic center, that I'd have to give them community service. They were pretty rough when I got them, but when they left, they were pretty decent kids. And I tell you what, I love kids. I love working with them, okay? But you can't work with kids that not been controlled a little bit at home. And these kids, 9 times out of 10, haven't been taught anything at home. And when they come to me, I teach them, and it works out fine. And they wind up loving me for some reason or other. Even today, I see some of them, they'll say, "Oh, Mr. Madison." They don't call me Norman, I didn't allow them to. But they treated me with a lot of respect, okay? And I feel like if these people would get with those kids, I think, and do something for them and help them out, I think we would have a good time. And I think the kids would fall in line.
So you're saying, lead them, don't chase them.
Yeah, you lead them, you don't chase them. You chase them, they gonna get worse.
And it's not gonna happen overnight, but you have to start somewhere, because if you don't start somewhere, nothing's gonna change.
Well, it can happen overnight. They have the power to do it. All you gotta do is hit the gavel and say, all right, this is an ordinance.
But I'm not talking about ordinance, I'm talking about everything else that everyone just said, what he said about teaching them, what
I
Ms. Marcia
agree.
said, what Captain Sue said. That stuff won't happen overnight, but it will help them. You just heard what he said.
Yes.
It didn't happen overnight, but they respected him when he was done with them. But it's not gonna happen overnight, and it's not gonna be done by one person. Everyone has to care about the situation and not just changing the law.
There are several community
There's
businesses
just enough,
that are in the area.
not
They're
enough
already
people
doing it.
in this town that care about anybody's
It's not.
kid. You know, when I was a kid, I had people, my next door neighbor and the lady down the street.
Okay. Marcia, and then we're gonna.
I just want to say, as Captain Sue said, we're not getting people from the magistrate like we used to. We have not had anybody referred to us from the magistrate here and there. I think we've had one this whole year in 2001. We had one. We had 3 referrals. 3 referrals came. Only one showed up. We reported back to the magistrate that the others were non-compliant and we were closing their case. So it goes back to the magistrate. They should be fined and referred to juvenile probation. That's not happening.
Nope.
And we're supposed to be getting referrals from the school. That's not happening. So people aren't following. You can legislate all you want. But if you can't get people to obey rules, if you can't get grown-ups to do it, how do you expect kids to do it? And we have not seen nothing yet, because the people they're talking about, these kids, they're in a gang called the 062, and And the 062 is rolling right now. And I've lost good kids to this 062
Me too.
because there's nothing for them to do at their age level. There's nothing for teens to do, nowhere to go. They've been stuck at home for more than a year, and so they join a gang because the gang takes care of them. They're hungry, the gang feeds them. The gang gives them a gun. The gang gives them everything they need.
And if we don't catch them when they're throwing rocks at cars, then it gets bigger. The next time they build their confidence, oh, I got away with that, so this time I'll do this. And then pretty soon we have, like, it's bad, and we can't keep ignoring it, and it's not gonna just get better on its own.
And I've knocked on doors of an 11-year-old boy that I knew, that I used to tutor at the high school. 11 years old, or no, he's 13 now, his brother's 11. I knock on the door, and they open the door, and I smell weed, okay? So I say, where's your adults? Can I talk to an adult? No, I can't talk to the adults. They're not home. So I say, who's smoking weed? Nobody. I said, come on. Like, I wasn't born yesterday. I know what it smells like. The house is full of it. No adult home. A 13-year-old and an 11-year-old sitting there getting high.
We all have to work together.
But they're behind in their assignments. They're 40 assignments behind. And you can't do, what can you do? You can't go after every kid.
Go after the parents.
What parents? Non-existent. They're never home.
Well, and some parents.
We got
want to be
kids
good
raising parents.
But they're working 3 to 11 shifts, they're working midnight shifts. Some parents are working, it's not that they don't want to be a good parent, some parents are actually working and can't be there in the afternoon or nighttime because they're not working 9 to 5 jobs.
And we've got parentified children. They're raising their parents.
Once they hit 10, they're the adults, and they're raising the babies.
We're gonna send this to K2, which is at the acting code officer, and have them cite the nuisance ordinance directly, because the past letters only cite like garbage, weeds, etc., so that we could get the ball rolling. We obviously can't just throw people out, but we will have them cite the nuisance ordinance.
Yes, we appreciate that. But we do
And-
show
yeah,
love to
K2.
them. We show love to them.
What's that? What'd you say?
You know, really show love to them, but what are you gonna do?
Hey, I'll be happy to help.
And
Watch, I'll walk
if-
tonight.
I even offer food.
And if anything,
I'll
you
give
know,
them food if they're hungry.
Yeah.
keep making notes of, if stuff continues, keep making notes of what's going on. Keep reporting it through the proper channels so
We
that,
appreciate it.
so
Thank
that they know.
Hey, Gene, you know where to find me.
I do.
Stop up and keep me in the loop.
I'm gonna wait for Gil.
They hit on it, parents. Nobody's there watching the kids. They're all walked out of school. Who's watching the kids? No one. Kids just get all together.
I'm waiting for Gil, so Gil. What are we gonna do this? I'm just waiting for Councilman Coles. The auditors are still not here. I'm not sure why. So if they come within the meeting, John, I believe, already tried to call them. If they come within the meeting, we will have them pause. If not, we'll have to call a special meeting for a presentation.
They didn't answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
They said that the kids need to have something to do. That's why we're working with Julian, and the CDBG is also going to put money into the civic center so we can make it so the kids can even use it in the summertime, because it's been so hot in there they haven't been able to use it. We're replacing fans that were in the ceilings. We're adding air conditioning to some of the rooms, so if somebody wants to have a party down there. So we are trying to get some things together to give the kids another place to go play and another outlet rather than being on the streets. So we're working with CDBG right now and trying to make that happen for the kids.
And there's another grant opportunity with the MLB that they've offered when they were here in July to help improve any park facilities that are baseball or softball related. So, and I think there's similar funding with the MLB or the NBA. to do that too. The next round of proposed CDBG funding for the 2021 fiscal year will include for the proposed budget to redo the basketball courts at 9th Street Park and start that process, because that park has not been adequately addressed in some time. So that will be on the upcoming proposed budget.
Question. There's a basketball court and a baseball court, softball field up in Park Manor, right when you go in, and the basketball court's like tucked back into the woods. Does the city own that, or is that private?
That's county.
County housing.
Yeah.
That's county.
But they did finally put the hoops back up. We had to call them to tell them to put the hoops back up. They had taken them down,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
For
but
a
that's
long
part
time.
of Park Manor.
but they're
Okay.
back up now.
The softball field too, or is that?
Yeah, that whole thing right there. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 10th, 2021 meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, or corrections? Call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 27th, 2021 special meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, or corrections? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Grigor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to open the floor to public comment on agenda items only. Since there are so many people here, please try to keep them limited so we're not here till midnight, unless you would all like to be here all night.
I'll do my best. Mr.
I
Mayor,
can.
members of council, my name is Mark Gelper. I live at 13 Montraver here in Monessen. I want to address you this evening in anticipation of my name being submitted for consideration for appointment to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Monessen. As some of you know, I was an attorney who practiced in Monessen for about 34 years. Around 7 years ago, I was experiencing significant personal and financial issues, and in dealing with those issues, I made terrible choices that reflected negatively on my character at the time. I took funds from a trust account that did not belong to me, convincing myself I would be able to replace those funds when the time came. I have assumed full responsibility for my terrible conduct, for which I have paid a high but well-deserved price, having pled guilty to charges which were filed against me. I offer no excuses for my conduct. I own what I did, and not a day goes by where at some point I don't feel the shame, guilt, regret, and embarrassment of my conduct. So I am well past the personal impact of any possible effort to publicly shame me tonight. No one is more ashamed of what I did than I am. And I will live with the consequences of my horrible decisions for the rest of my life, particularly because I will never be able to practice law again. I fully accept that fact as the well-deserved consequence of my conduct. For a few years after my conduct became public knowledge in 2015, I lived like a hermit, like a tortoise who had withdrawn into a shell. I avoided going to the store in the Midland Valley. I would not go to restaurants or similar public venues in the valley. I went to work in Pittsburgh and came home doing any needed shopping at locations miles away from the valley. But I reached a point where I felt that I had to live my life, a point at which I realized that I could not undo what I had done, although I have made restitution in the process of completing it. That I could only control what I did from that point forward. I committed myself to reimposing upon myself and rededicating myself to the values and standards which had governed me and to which I had adhered for the first 60 years of my existence. More importantly, for purposes of tonight's discussion, I decided that I want to give back to the city and to the community which had given so much to me and to my professional practice for so many years. A few months ago, I accepted an offer, an invitation to join the Monessen Community Development Corporation. When I was asked if I would be interested in a position on the Redevelopment Authority Board, I readily said yes. I had served as the authority's attorney for several years, and I am very familiar with the laws and regulations that apply to the authority and to the mission and operations of the authority. When I was asked if I would serve on the board, being aware of the often bitter political and personal divisions that exist in our city, I made it clear that I would do so only if there were no preconditions or hidden agendas that I would be asked to bring to that position. I stressed that I would only agree to serve with the understanding that in my functioning as a board member, I would be exercising my independent judgment regarding issues brought before the board, and that my only agenda would be to act in the best interests of the city of Monessen. Those requirements and expectations of mine were readily assented to without hesitation or objection. I was told before I came in here this evening that the board positions that I'm being proposed to fill do not actually exist. That appears to raise a legal issue that I have not researched and on which I'm not prepared to offer an opinion. I will leave that up to the city solicitor to make an appropriate ruling. I am not interested in filling a position that does not legitimately exist, but someone else will have to make the determination as to whether those positions legitimately exist or not. And so I place myself this evening at the mercy and judgment of City Council and to some degree the citizens of Monessen, a community that I have grown to love and that I want to, as I said, commit myself to assisting in whatever way I can. You can choose, if you wish, to make me the sum total of the worst thing that I ever did in my life. You can ignore the concepts of forgiveness and redemption, the notion that someone can do a bad thing and emerge from that experience a better person, and rather proceed down a path of public shaming and personal judgment. That is the choice of others, over which I have no control. Should you choose not to appoint me to the board, or if it's determined that the positions don't exist, I will accept that decision graciously and without acrimony or ill will. I only ask that you exercise your judgment objectively and based solely on your sound, reasoned judgment as to my suitability and qualifications for the position. I would add that I'd be happy to answer any questions that any members of council may have for me either now or when this matter comes up on tonight's agenda. Thank you very much for your attention and consideration. Ron Moser again. I met him while I was out walking the neighborhood during the campaign. I was quite impressed by him. Thank you for the opportunity to get to know you. I do, however, have some questions about what's going on here and have to wonder why. If there's something that the Redevelopment Authority is doing wrong, well, the mayor is customarily the person who offers liaison to the authority and normally attends the meetings, but yet you've never attended a single meeting.
I'm not the liaison.
Well, but what I said was the mayor is typically the liaison. So anyway, that said, if there's any, I've heard there's been mishandling of money, but yet as a liaison, you could actually have an audit done, but that's not been done either. So I have to question exactly what is going on here. If you're trying to take over, there's only two reasons I can think of that you might want to do this. One, money. Well, we don't have a lot. We got about $7,000. Or two, it's because you want to move the $500 building to the Redevelopment Authority, have that control of the Redevelopment Authority, and now the city can't do anything with it at that point. The bottom line is, I think you're wasting taxpayer money. You've got a solicitor sitting right beside you. Why didn't the solicitor come up with the idea of replacing Buzzy Byron and Boone Marekis? I think you didn't like his answer, I could be wrong, and you went to hire another lawyer outside counsel because you didn't like that. So you wasted some more taxpayer money with that.
You would be wrong.
But let me continue. So the bottom line is, you can do your things, but as far as my understanding of the law is, the only way that you can remove somebody from authority is through an order of a judge. If you want to take this to court, then I guess it'll go to court. But I think it'll get litigated well into January, and by that time, I doubt seriously you'll be sitting over there, and things will greatly change, and it'll be an end to it then. Either way, it's just wasting taxpayer money in my mind.
So a few things. One, I'm not going to delve into deep detail because it is potential litigation, but the Redevelopment Authority has been stopping people from buying properties.
Not once.
Members of your authority
Not
have made racist comments of people who want to buy properties, and the Redevelopment Authority owes the city $121,000 in unpaid taxes because your properties were never filed for tax exemptions.
But Redevelopment Authority is exempt from tax.
And not if you don't file the tax
They are
exemption.
exempt from tax in any event.
The Redevelopment Authority owes $121,000. The city clerk checked it today with the county.
And yet they've never sent us a bill.
I'd be more than happy to send you the tax map numbers.
Never sent us a bill. We've never received a bill. The bottom line is, you could have been there, you could have come to us and offered liaison, you could have been involved with it, you could have steered it the direction you wanted to go, you chose not to. So here we are, wasting taxpayer money.
Hey, Mr. Moses,
Wait,
hey, Mr.
wait,
Mo- can I ask you a question? I
Don,
got a question for you.
what, Don first and then,
Go ahead.
Don first.
There was an individual that wanted the property at 519 Donna. Okay, and, yeah, well, he wanted that building. I understand that you sent him a letter that you didn't want to sell it to him, or an email, that you didn't want him to have that building because he was from out of town.
We have had a policy, and it's not because he's out of town, we've had a policy that if you want to do something with land owned by the Redevelopment Authority, present your ideas to the Redevelopment Authority in person as to what you want to do, when it's going to be accomplished, and how you're going to do it. And that has been customary how we've done all of our property to date. I suggested that he do that, he said he could not. I asked him why, he said he was out of town.
So when you told him that he could have the property for $50,000,
Right.
okay, when you offered someone else $1,000 for it?
Nobody ever asked me $1,000 for it.
That's not what I was told.
Who?
Someone else was interested in that building and they were told $1,000. And he was told that we have too many foreigners buying properties.
Actually, he had his lawyer look into this. And so we may be, you may be having some legal issues. However, why did you tell him $50,000?
Well, first off, the building was not necessarily for sale. Who said it was for sale?
Are not all the Redevelopment Authority properties for sale?
Not necessarily. If we have the ideas for doing something with property, then we may choose not to sell it at any given time.
The Redevelopment Authority owns 165 blighted properties.
And you own about 400 some blighted properties.
But we don't own them. We own 125 of them. The rest are in private ownership. Why, if someone wants a property and you're trying to address blight, why wouldn't you sell someone the property if they
To
want
the
to
best
fix
of my
it?
knowledge, I have always tried to sell the property.
From what
I'm not only the
There are-
person within the Redevelopment
That
Authority.
is
So
correct.
first off, I'm not the one that makes these decisions. I am merely one of many, one of five.
I just find it hard to believe that you told this guy $50,000 because that would be the cost to tear it down, and you wanted it tore down and you didn't want it to be fixed. The Redevelopment Authority, not you personally.
Right. Yeah.
Why?
Have you looked at that building?
It doesn't matter, if the guy wanted to fix it up, I don't care what it looks like. If somebody came in and wanted $500 and said he wanted to put $4 million into it,
It's their money.
it's their money. It's their money.
Hey, Don, if that guy was gonna buy that building down there, I think that building would have sat for many more years.
Well, we'll never know now.
No, but I'm just saying, that if he would have bought it, he would have done nothing with it.
But
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
If he wasn't willing to come to town to tell us what he was going to do, what other assumption can we make?
Yes.
Some people do work.
If he bought it, what business is yours, what to do with it?
Because it would have sat there. I believe it would
Well,
have
what
sat
if
there.
it was, that's a transfer.
We won't know that, Bill.
Yeah, it's beyond.
Right now it's
It's
sitting
beyond.
Now it's gonna sit there.
I would have gave it to the guy. I'd give it to him for nothing. Because when them bricks start falling off on Russell's property up there and hit somebody when they're dining out in between the two buildings, let that liability be on that guy, not on you.
Would have made sense,
Yeah,
not to just tell the guy no, because we want it tore out, because you still have the liability
Yeah.
now.
yeah.
If you'd given it to the guy, like you said, for nothing,
Put it on him.
so the logic behind all this was, there wasn't any. I'm sorry, Bill
I just think-
makes our case.
I
But I
just
got a
think,
question.
I
You're
just
saying-
think it's beyond.
But I got a question. You're saying they don't have to have a plan. We're telling people when they want to buy property here, that they need to have a plan
Yeah.
of what
He
they want
told
to do.
them what he was
But I'm
gonna
just
do
saying,
with
we're
it.
saying it doesn't matter what they want to do,
He-
because we made it a law that they need to have a plan of what they plan on doing with each house or property they purchase in the
Saying
city of Monessen.
You don't live here, you can't buy the, it's discrimination.
No, I'm not talking about that. You said, when he said he didn't give a plan of what he wanted
He
to do.
did give a plan.
I never saw a plan.
No, he never
I was
gave us-
told that he gave a
Billy
plan.
He
just
never
said he
gave
never-
us, he never gave us anything.
But
He said there was no
regardless,
plan.
Yeah.
regardless,
I still think you should have sold it
Yeah.
to Billy. I agree with Bill.
Yeah.
You
But-
wouldn't have a liability. Now you still have the liability.
Still have liability.
Doesn't make any sense.
And you might have a lawsuit.
I just think it would have sat there forever, that guy would have done nothing with it, and that would have been it. It just sat there for another 10 years or whatever.
I mean,
Same thing.
it's sitting there now and you guys own it, so.
You know, it's the same thing with the health center, it's sitting there, nobody's doing nothing.
Yeah, but that ain't dilapidated either.
No, it's not dilapidated, but it will be, in a little time.
Anybody else got anything you want to say? All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong about this, Ron, but didn't Lou Madrakis put himself on the redevelopment committee?
That was that was his previous term, and then that term expired. And what we're discussing here is the illegal appointment of him
Oh,
to
okay.
the
I
board.
just wanted to, because it was said that you weren't involved, but the former mayor was involved, and things still kind of seemed a little strange.
He served in his second term.
Is that who you work with?
Yeah.
Lou Marakis,
Yeah.
he's on the board, yeah, he's on the authority.
Lord have mercy. What is this town coming to?
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
That's your opinion.
Unbelievable.
I'm just saying,
Anyone
it just
else
seems to
on?
me that like a lot of things that get said already happened before, and the people that did that didn't see anything wrong with it, but now they're accusing people of doing the very things that they did.
Right.
It just keeps happening again and again and again. And as my neighbor here, I don't know her name, we just want to know, why can't people just work together? Why is it us and them and us? And why can't people just be people and we all work together for the common good of our city?
Hey, Dawn,
Definitely old.
that building should have came down a long time ago. Should have came down.
As many.
Before any of us were on the redevelopment authority, that building should have came down.
But if someone wants to fix it and pay for it, it's none of our business. We cite them if they don't pay for it.
So had he come to our meeting and said he wants to fix it and build it?
Maybe he would have attended if he didn't feel like he was attacked with discrimination.
We
He wasn't
the
attacked.
very first response
There's
to
an
him
email.
was, would you please come to our meeting and present your ideas? And that's when I found out he wasn't even there.
Was he out of state, Laura?
He's from New York,
He's from New York.
yes. And he happens to be Syrian American, which is also why he is concerned that this was a discriminatory attack.
The China comment was withdrawn.
I can't comment on it because I haven't seen the email. If there is an email, I think it should be given to all of council to be able to look at it, to better understand it. If that's possible, Mr. Prater, I don't know.
I'll get you a copy, I'll send it to you.
Because obviously we're not involved in it. But, like Marcia said, her point, and like Billy said, learning from past mistakes. Okay, not everything is a mistake, but in the past, let's be very honest and very bold about this. I'm sorry, we could go down 3rd and Schoonamaker that's in your parking lot and ask a prior mayor that sold to the Monessen Rising a property to Randy Lee in New
It's
York.
not Monessen Rising, it's Monessen Redevelopment LLC.
But it was Monessen Rising at the beginning.
No, it wasn't.
All right, it's Monessen Redevelopment LLC. Okay,
Yes.
whatever. Okay, I apologize. Right.
And if he hadn't been driven out of town
And it
and told
doesn't,
to get out.
okay, so you just made a comment before and said, we don't care if he wants to buy it, he can buy it, it's not our business what he does to it. Okay? He can conduct business, he can get contractors to do things for that building without ever stepping into Monessen again. Doesn't have to be
I
here.
agree that he should have done something
So,
with it.
are they looking at something, and I'm not saying they are, or they're not, but are they looking at past practice and going, ooh, we don't want this to happen again, and it may sit there, and now we have another serious problem where that building on 3rd and Schoonamaker with a whole roof is completely gone and fallen in.
Or it could happen the other way, just like Eisenberg's building.
Which
Eisenberg's
they
building,
also own.
Yes.
but Eisenberg's building is not complete. It's been renovated,
Yes.
but the lease also states from the county that they don't start paying for it until it's completely
No,
built.
no. A grant is never paid back.
Not all paid.
Never paid
Not all
back.
grant though.
But
Yes,
you
there's a
have
grant.
a redeveloped building.
There was
that
a
you
grant
have
for
to pay and tear down.
$1.2 million. On the MVI board, which I was on, we voted to get tax anticipation notes. We got $500,000 from 3 banks, $1.7 million. Then they went back to the county, and the county granted them another $600,000. Monessen didn't spend a cent, and it was all done on grants, and never, if nobody lives in there, no money goes back to them. I don't know whoever told you that. Who told you that? You mentioned it too once,
Frankie's
Brian.
told me.
Yeah, but
You mentioned.
Where did that come from?
Where'd that come from?
Where did that come from? My memory when that was all taking place.
And
No,
there are
no.
2 vacancies.
That was never
currently in
said.
that building.
Never
Out
said
of
on
13.
grants.
So when you said that,
So let me ask you a question about that. That building, before it got all the grants, who owned that building?
The same one that owns Megora.
Yeah, the redevelopment,
Can we move on?
Monessen Redevelopment LLC.
Please, can we move on? This is ridiculous. We are never getting out of here if we can't move on.
it up.
All right,
Hey,
but
Matt,
there comes a time
Matt,
when we end
I
it
had
and
a
move on.
question for Mr. Mosier.
Gil and then.
Before you go back up to the podium.
I can talk from here too.
Question to you, Tim, Chairman Hibbert. Who gave you people the redevelopment authority to move the redevelopment authority into your building?
We came here twice.
So I asked you a question.
Twice we came.
Answer the question.
Listen to what I'm answering.
You're not answering the question. I'm not
trying to
talking
answer.
about twice.
You're not listening.
At the last meeting, we offered the building. We never heard from you. It was
You never had it. You and Lou Mavregas and the little clan that you people got down there.
You took the keys off of us to get in the building.
Matt,
How the hell-
please,
How the hell were we supposed to get in? Somebody took the damn keys.
Don't pick on me, little man.
Little man.
I didn't take no keys off of you. When you get big enough to talk, when you get big enough to talk like that. Now this is only you, and you start things all the time about, and what you brought up, man, about old things. The problem in this town is, and I'm gonna say
People
it,
not respecting.
little man, L&M, Lou Mavregas, got mad and pissed off because some kid come along and beat him. He never got out of this man's way to let him put his administration in. He just nitpicked and
I
nitpicked.
can agree
He
with
sold
that, but can't we start new and fresh?
We've been
that is
trying, but
why-
every time we try,
that is-
we get comments out of whatever down here.
That
This
is
little
why
guy
we
over
need to
here, we ain't never
readdress-
gonna solve it.
That is why we need to address.
That's how he got
You will if
started.
the people in
They-
town get mad enough and stand up for our city.
Thank you.
I pay taxes here, and I want to be proud of my
Right,
city.
man.
You know what?
Yes, exactly.
City council does
Yeah,
not,
that's exactly.
city council does not make people proud of their city.
Don't
I'm
point
telling
your
you right
finger at me,
now.
mister.
Don't call people names.
Don't point your finger.
Exactly right.
What name did I call? So you're a big man.
We're moving on.
You're a fat man, so what's the difference?
Moving right along.
You know what? We are disgrace to the city of Monessen. We are a disgrace. I would not be proud to have any of us on here as council because we are a disgrace. If we can't have a council meeting respect one another for decisions and comments that we make, how do we expect the people who come to do the same thing? We need to start, I've been saying this for 2 years, and no one gives a you know what about it because we are disrespectful.
Okay, but let me just tell you.
All of us, all of
I'm
us.
a resident of Monessen,
Right.
and I've come to these council meetings. How many times have I been disrespected?
I've told you, haven't I stuck up for you?
So, yeah.
All the time. I stick up for everybody in here, that everybody has a right to say everything. But the thing is, listen, it's the council, most of the time, that's disrespectful. And we get back what we give out. We give back what we
Treat
give
people
out.
the way you want to be treated, and we'll be proud of our city again.
Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Hey, that's not appropriate.
I'll be there, brother.
That-
You hear that?
Tina has the
I
podium.
understand, but Brett's
You hear
not
him?
appropriate.
All right, that's all, that's all. It's over.
Let's move on.
Good.
Tina.
Tina, John 1252 Ross Taylor Street. I guess one of my questions is, what was improper about them being appointed 3 years ago? That it's coming up now, which is almost at the end.
Would you, should I discuss it, or is it litigation?
You can suspect
Okay.
question.
The, at the time, the urban redevelopment law requires the mayor to make an appointment of a vacancy on the redevelopment authority. That has since changed. Earlier this year, that law has changed. Now it's up to council as a whole. I made appointments. This council chose to not accept those appointments. The appointments were made, they were notarized, and they were sent to the city clerk. Those appointments were not recognized. Council did not have the authority to make those appointments at the time. Now council does now.
Well, I mean, weren't they voted on at a meeting?
Council didn't have the authority to vote on them. At the time, the urban redevelopment law only authorized the mayor to make those appointments.
So who made the appointment?
Wasn't Tony acting as deputy mayor at that time?
One at a time. I made the appointments. I was not incapacitated. You all know part of the reason I'm not here, threats from him. But that's part of it. I made the appointments. They were sent to city clerk Judith Taylor at the time in an email. They all received it. They chose to not recognize those appointments. And that happened both times, the end of 2018 and the end of 2019. Now, again, the urban redevelopment law has since changed earlier this year. Now it's going forward, council makes those appointments just like any other board.
So are you saying you appointed different people?
Yes.
Well, I don't even know where to go with that, but I thought it was all voted on, I was at the meeting. it
Yeah,
went
but they
through.
were not authorized to vote on it according to urban redevelopment law.
But
And
if
that's
Tony
what
was the acting mayor, I don't
it
understand.
specifies mayor. And I was not incapacitated because I made the appointments.
But you weren't here. So
It
that's
doesn't
why
matter.
I'm just making a point that you weren't here to make an appointment in public.
It didn't.
And let me finish, because I'm not getting an argument. I'm not doing that. I'm just stating a fact of how it was done, that's all.
And it was done
It was-
perfectly fine according to the urban redevelopment law, the way that I appointed them.
We did it as we determined what could be done at the
You
time.
did not have the authority to do it as council.
That apparently is going to be decided by a court, not
And-
in this office, not in
And
this
if-
room.
Well, if it's decided by a court, so be it. There might not be a redevelopment authority then.
You cannot, none of us here can dissolve, thank you, I couldn't figure it, dissolve an authority.
Tim, can we dissolve the redevelopment authorities?
Only the state legislature can do that.
So there's
I'm not
a,
talking to this
the-
country.
for the redevelopment authority and other authorities, there is a dissolution provision in Municipalities Authorities Act for other authorities, or the urban redevelopment law for redevelopment authorities. There is the authority and the ability statutorily to dissolve a redevelopment authority, which is placed in the governing body of the municipality that governs and controls that redevelopment authority. So that would be up to city council, they would have the ability, following the right procedure, and there are some items that would be required in order to do that, they would have the ability to dissolve a redevelopment authority, assuming, once again, they follow that procedure appropriately.
And
It is in the urban
where would those
redevelopment.
assets go?
To the
then
city.
it all is assumed by the city. Assets and liabilities would then get assumed by the city.
Just like when the Recreation Authority was dissolved.
Again.
Don, Don, you look like you were going to say something.
It's the politics in this town. You know, I'm tired of being on this side of the issue because I voted with some people on a lot of the issues, because I agree with them. However, this side over here, I'm just pointing over here. I'm not accusing anybody. This side over here, I'm Mary Jo's puppet. Okay? Well, that side doesn't realize that for a while, this side wasn't talking to me because I was approached to do something, I told them absolutely not. Politics is ugly. I hate the redevelopment authority the way it exists because it's such a political animal. You had people appointing themselves to it. Why? This wasn't for the betterment of the citizens. What has the redevelopment authority accomplished in the last 6 years? Very little. And maybe it's not their fault. Maybe there's nothing they could get done. I'm not so sure that the redevelopment authority should exist any longer. I personally want to dissolve it because it's so damn political.
Besides, should it be one council?
They let the council make all the decisions, because what I see happening is I see a rush. When Mr. Mavrakis appointed himself, I saw a rush to control the redevelopment authority. And then, when he had the ability to make the appointments, I see a rush to put someone else on there so they can maintain control of the redevelopment authority. It's all political. What do we need it for? It's not doing anything. What has it accomplished? All we do is we have people carrying on. We hate each other. We hate each other. Bill, do I hate you?
No.
Do I talk to you all the time?
All the time.
There's people out there on that redevelopment authority that won't talk to me.
I try to talk to everybody.
You know what? I don't care. I want to do what I think is right. And personally, I want to dissolve it because it's so damn political and it changes all the time. I'd rather see council have control of it than someone appointing himself in there and then the illegal appointments being made to maintain control.
How do you do that? How do you appoint yourself in?
You just do it.
Sorry, back to my question.
Yeah.
So my question is, which one was the acting mayor? Because you
They
weren't
have the
coming
authority.
to, you weren't coming to meetings. Well, why are we waiting till now to worry about it? It's at the end of the, like, it's gonna change.
I want to correct it, and it's something that I wanted to do last year, but there were a lot of other pressing things that needed to be done last
Actually,
year.
Like,
to
this
be
is
honest
what's
with you,
pressing about.
I wanted to do this a long time ago. I just wanted to dissolve it. And you have to, we had to go through a certain process, which I can't discuss. We had to go through a certain process to get to this point. And the one thing I hate about government is it's so damn slow. You can't rectify anything immediately. I feel so terrible for what happened to these people. Law enforcement can't seem to protect them. This is one of those things that's just taking so damn long. And I'm sorry, I apologize for my language. It's just I'm so tired of the politics.
I'm covering one thing up because I have a person I know who's been trying to buy a house that is on their street, and they've called here and called here and called here, and they kept getting around, kept sending to Ron Mosier because it was their property, which it wasn't. It wasn't the real redevelopment authority's property, it was the city's property, and they just ran them around. She's been trying to buy it for 2 years. I don't know if she ended up coming to a meeting or not, but there's
Do you know
games
the,
everywhere.
do you know the
So,
street that it was on? You
games
don't,
everywhere.
you don't have to give a name. Do you know the street that
Do
it
you
was on?
remember the street?
No, I can't.
Oh, Alex Upper.
Well, we transferred that Aliquippa property to the redevelopment authority. She messaged me and said they never transferred it to me, to her, for that purpose. We transferred it to the redevelopment authority several meetings ago, earlier this year, just like the other property on
She's been
Elm.
doing this for years.
Yeah, and we transferred it to the redevelopment authority so they could sell it to her, and it still hasn't been done.
But
We
that
transferred
just
one on
happened
Elm
then.
Street. Yeah, it just happened.
Well,
But
one of
she's
the-
been calling here
We transferred it, I
Doing this
believe,
for
in
2 years.
April
How many
or
years?
May.
at least 2 years.
At least 2 years, probably longer, it's
The one
just
on
some
Elm.
things just,
I'm just saying, like, I
That
hear
was
you
done in
accusing.
2018.
We need to work together, but you're sitting here accusing them of stuff from some guy from New York who's telling you one thing, and you're not believing him, and like, what
There-
is
No,
this?
no.
There are
No,
also,
I
in
just watched
writing.
it happen.
It's
There-
in writing.
I
He sent you a
But the
letter.
lady- the lady who
He's up here
called-
speaking,
The
and
lady who
you're
called
sitting here
in
accusing them of all this
2018
crap.
came to
Where's
me
the
in
working together?
2020, and I started it for her. She
And we
said that nobody
transferred it to
gave
redevelopment.
She said they promised me $400, and I did it months ago, and she's still calling.
and there's a property on Elm Street that the guy hasn't gotten through to for whatever
Right,
reason,
but
that we
my whole
transferred
point
on
is-
in last August.
To me, all I see is everybody trying to make everybody else look bad.
And you know what, when they,
Everybody trying to
hey,
help
whenever
each
people
other.
call for
Everybody
property
agrees
for
with you.
redevelopment authority, give them my cell phone number.
Okay.
I'll talk to them.
Because there are properties that
Because
were
I
transferred.
remember
This is
anybody
legal or
calling.
not,
Nobody
There
calls
are,
us.
there are
it'll
city
go to court and
properties,
Somebody will figure it out.
there are
the right
city
way,
properties that were transferred to RDA that were
but
not
It just seems
transferred
like
to the
everybody's
people
just trying
interested
to
in
take
buying.
each other down around
like
here.
I
And
said,
I got a question too.
dissolve it.
All this is going on, this discussion about the redevelopment authority, you wanna know something? All the council didn't even know that this was taking place today. I have no issue with people bringing out reasons why we wanna do this, do that, whatever it is, let it litigate. But my question is, we have 4 councilmen on this board and a mayor, but not all the councilmen, people had all this information beforehand to know what was going on, to review this documentation before this meeting took place. We read this the same time you read it. We didn't know what was happening, that there was a chance that 2 people would be removed from the redevelopment authority. We didn't know. We didn't know that 2 people are already gonna be appointed to the redevelopment authority. We didn't know. Council, we're all expected to know all this before things take place. We're just supposed to discuss this. We did not know.
We had an
What
executive
time did
session
you receive
What, for
your,
this?
when we first,
For this, who did?
when did you receive
Last
your
month.
email?
We didn't, we got this today.
Yes, you did.
Yes, but the thing
This
is, we
morning.
should have known about this. Weren't we supposed to discuss this beforehand about a possibility of this happening as a council? Am I right or am I wrong, Tim?
No.
Wait. I need Tim to say this so you hear this. Tim, am I right or am I wrong? Please let me know.
It would, for something like this, it would be appropriate to discuss it as council before any decisions are being made. That
And
would
it
be
was
appropriate.
not.
Ms. Thomas,
Time and time again.
Ms. Thomas, I may say something, because I listened to him talk for 15 minutes about politics. You're all about politics. You're nothing more than a yes man, and we know in Monessen that you're a yes man. And you never tell them you vote with the same group that you vote all the time because you're a yes man. You're
Whatever you say,
control,
Pino.
buddy. You are control.
obviously are so
You're not
correct.
yourself. You're not the person that came to office that people
All right.
elected. You're a damn liar.
I didn't care about how the vote goes. If we lose a vote, you lose a vote. The issue is we all should be involved in the decision-making and planning for this council and for the city. That's my problem. I don't even care. A vote is a vote. But my problem is we should all be involved with every matter that pertains to this city.
Why didn't we get it last night? Why didn't we get the agenda and everything?
I don't know, John sent it to you this morning.
Well, why did you send it last night?
I said this one.
If he sent it last night this morning, you still find some reason.
Well, the reason, I have a reason for my question, and that is I had people call me last night that they found the agenda on the website before we even
I
seen
put
it.
it on the website.
But why
Why
are
didn't
we
you send it out
receiving
to
it?
us?
We are councilmen.
The city
You're the mayor.
administrator could send it to you.
Then why didn't you both
No
send it to
matter when
us?
we send it to you, you'd still complain.
Tim, please, Tim, will you please tell them the correct format, please, so it can be sold right now?
So, you know, so now, especially now that the new Sunshine Act has gone into place, obviously the agenda has to go on the website at least 24 hours in advance. And the city
on the
council
window.
is, yeah, and on the window, that's correct. And city council is bound by the items on that agenda for discussion and action at the meeting, right? Now, there are some exceptions to that, which is generally. So, you know, the expectation would also be that if it's available to the public, that it should also then be available to council members at least the same time. So, you would generally want to make sure that that's shared with everybody, the public, council members included, at least by that deadline. There's not a requirement for council members in the act. It's just for the public, but, using that same analogy, it would be appropriate for all council members to get it at the same time.
I was here 2 extra hours, and I went home.
Because my question is this, everybody comes here with their tablets all prepared for what they're going to say, because see, you get that information beforehand. So you have tablets, you have emails, you have everything to speak before the public. But we have nothing, because we have had nothing to review. We have nothing to even look at to know that this is going to come up at this council meeting. So we have nothing to review, we have nothing to research beforehand to have any answers for the public. That is not fair.
You sent me an email and asked me
But you
why-
only sent the agenda.
You said, why was he
And you
put on
sent
the
it
edge of
today.
the... No, you said, why was he put on the edge of the
I
program?
sent it today. I sent it today.
Yeah,
But
you
we
got
didn't
it.
get the documentation for anything. No, we didn't.
And John, I asked you this morning for the documentation, and this afternoon you
And
sent
I
it.
sent it to you.
But I bet you if I never would have asked you, we would have never got it.
And
And
I-
your answer last
Did
week was...
you receive it?
When?
Did
Yes.
you receive it?
Yes, I
What
did.
time?
And that's fine.
Well, what was your answer last meeting?
Right.
When we called in, when I
We wanna
I
go
asked
today
where is...
forward. We're not going backwards.
Oh, yeah,
You know
we
how you
are.
say it all the time?
I asked for the documentation that Lois and I had to call in.
What do we come down here
Yes,
for?
that's the other thing is, you can't make a meeting at 7 o'clock. You can't make a meeting at 4 o'clock. What's your problem?
We have work. We work for a living.
What are we down here for?
Yeah.
Ernie has the floor.
Okay, so you guys are.
Ernie has the floor.
I got 3 subjects here. One, I came down here because there's supposed to have been an audit report.
Yes.
Now, because they failed to come, but you're gonna contact them and make them come in October.
I would like to have them come before that,
Call special meeting, do it
I
now.
mean,
just to have
Find
it.
out why they didn't show up and then schedule.
that's right, but make sure everybody gets to know that. Because I got a lot of questions on that audit. Okay, and number 2. There has to be some sort of protocols here. You can't let everybody just, it's like a Western saloon. Everybody's like throwing beer bottles and everything else. So there has to be more control. But number 3, this is the big part. I don't lay the problem to most of you people. I lay the problem to the voters. The voters go like robots. I belong to the Elks Club, Lions Club, Masonic Lounge, this church and that church, and they told me, or union, they told me who to vote. That's how most people vote. So what happens? We get these people in, and they're not intelligent. They got no plan. If you ask Ron Moser, what would he do? He's good at criticizing you guys. What would he do as mayor to correct the situation?
Yeah, he does this every week.
We don't know. I'm just saying, let me finish.
Somebody said that to you, you would be freaking out all over here.
I won't be freaking out. I got my Bible.
Enough.
He got nothing.
That's a-
Okay, but the problem is,
Enough.
I'm not going after you people. I said, who did I say is responsible?
Ernie, you're done.
The voters. The voters. I didn't even speak 3 minutes.
He ain't said one word.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Timothy Byrne. I am a property owner here. I own 416 Motherwell as well as some surrounding properties. I am a transplant from Florida. I am a Redevelopment Authority success story. I have done what your supposed gentleman could not do. The Redevelopment Authority exists to pre-qualify people and to run them through hoops so that they can make a betterment of Monessen. They're there to go. I had to go to Ron and go through several council meetings to get each property and give them my plans and my prospects for each
individual property. I did so. I attended the meetings, I paid my bills, I waited the time, and I got the properties. I'm creating a community garden. I'm doing the best. I pay my taxes. I own my house. I am a full-time licensed massage therapist at Handstone and McMurray. I do my part, and I went through the system. That is why the Redevelopment Authority exists, to pre-qualify people and to do the best for Monessen. It should not be dissolved. It serves a very good purpose. And that's my piece.
All right, moving on to chorus. A reminder for all residents that you must place your trash cans out the night before their scheduled pickup day. There's been some confusion with that. And also a reminder that Monessen is an Act 101 community, which means that recycling is mandatory. We do have about 200 recycling bins here at the city building. If you need one, you have to come down and sign just a log. It's free, there's no charge, but we have to keep track of who takes one. So the more recycling tonnage we get, the more grants we're eligible for to get recycling related grants to help clean the streets and do related projects.
Mayor. Can I just interrupt for 1 second? When is our scheduled pickup for?
That I can look at the map afterwards.
I just want to piggyback on what you said is important for one reason. Our recycling can got smashed, busted up. They ran it over a couple times, didn't have it anymore. So my wife and I were putting it out in a regular garbage can, filled up with plastic and everything. And I had to wait for John, who was nice enough to give me a new one today and all that. But it's important that you do get that retainer, because for the last, 3 weeks at least, they came to pick our garbage up, and when it was recycling, they just took it all. They took it all.
They will take it as garbage if it's not enough.
The truck for recycling just drove right, I leave at
They don't see the
5:30.
blue.
Yeah,
they
5:30 in the morning, they were there, and they just drove right past it. It was like, I don't want this to go to garbage, but that's what they did.
And I don't know if many people know too, you can do cardboard too. If you bundle it up and set it on top of the recycling bin, they'll take that too, usually. Sometimes they don't, but usually.
But they also wouldn't take, of course, the plastic, they wouldn't take the cardboard, the pizza box, like you probably all do, and they would not take.
If you would clean the box up, I'm on that,
Environmental board.
and I had a meeting with them, you have to clean the box out for them to take the part.
Mary Jo, if you see me eat pizza, I clean it to the bones, trust me. I'll just laugh at you on that one. My wife will say that. I
Fold
can.
it the other way
But
so
that-
they can see
that
that.
I leave it open just together so it's clean.
That was the excuse that was given to me when I came to complain about where our
Right,
recycling.
but it is important that I thought the people would like to know, as the mayor said, Dawn has mentioned too, they can drive right by there.
And that goes to jars and cans too. When you put them out, make sure they're clean, because they run that through the belt. But so that's very important. So if you need a can, or if any of your neighbors need a can, come down and get them. Or if you'd like to kind of adopt your street and make sure that your neighbors get a can, talk to us, because we get credit for that recycling tonnage. Moving on, the Monessen Planning Commission minutes have been received for the July 15th, 2021 meeting. The Monessen Recreation Board minutes have been received for the July 26th, 2021 meeting. And I also want to add, I have to send them to council. I got them at 6:30. The Human Relations Commission did submit their minutes too, so I have to forward them to everyone. And Westmoreland Cleanways Recycling Center has announced that they will hold a household hazardous waste collection on Saturday, October 23rd, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll post a letter in the window.
Mayor,
and
where is that?
Oh, that is in Latrobe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm also going to see if we can do a fall cleanup like we did in the spring again, because that seems to be very popular, and a lot of the main arteries are pretty cluttered.
What are we doing, or do we have any plans? I've noticed the behind the streets, the city garage, there is a ton of TVs piled up in there.
Yeah, they usually wait for like a certain amount, and then they take them all in a load, so they have to take them to Latrobe.
Okay, well, does that correspond possibly with this?
Yeah, it could.
I'm just saying,
Like,
they're.
but I think they take the TVs at any time.
Oh,
so,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you do have a TV, you can put it behind the city garage. You'll see a pile of them there. I'd rather them be there than on a hillside somewhere or in an empty lot somewhere. Also, item F, City Hall operations will move across the plaza on Friday, September 17th So the office will be closed that day, but if you need to come down and make a payment, I'm sure you can leave it with someone. We'll be in and out. And then there's no old business, and I'll turn it over to Treasurer Jerry Saxon.
Mayor Matthew Sharon, council, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Monessen. This is my report for the month of August. The garbage fees and city real estate taxes collected for that month. Garbage fees revenue, current, August, $2,670. Year-to-date, $313,937.44. Budget amount for the year is $370,000. Delinquent, August, $1,718.92. Year-to-date, $96,278.34. Budget amount is $120,000. Out of these amounts, the delinquents, Portnoy collected $1,338.92. Year-to-date, Portnoy collected $30,230.66. Interest and penalties totaled $510.57. Garbage Housing Authority, quarterly. August, we received $15,258.75. Year-to-date, $45,776.25. Budgeted amount is $80,000. Total for 2021 budget is $570,000. Garbage collected for 2022. August, $415. Year-to-date, $1,230.20. Budget amount was $60,000. City real estate taxes. City real estate taxes current. August, $15,691.76. Year-to-date, $2,025,047.89. The budget amounts for 2021, the general fund received $1,457,000. Debt service fund received $500,000. Parks received $250,000. Library fund received $50,000 for a total of $2,257,000. Delinquent city taxes. City taxes prior year collected this month, nothing. Year-to-date, $3,612.14. Budgeted amount for 2021 was $9,100. Collected city taxes collected by Portnoy received nothing this month. Year-to-date, we received nothing so far. City taxes collected by Westmoreland County Tax Claim Bureau. Nothing for this quarter. Year-to-date, $132,305.70. 2021 budget amount. That tax goes to whatever municipality or funding they buy their product from. That figure has been going down steadily over the years. Local service tax. August, we received $10,351.06. Year-to-date, $45,311.37. 2021 budget amount, $77,000. Tax certifications. August, we received $2,170. Year-to-date, $15,770. Budget amount, $22,000. Municipal lien letters, $1,950. For August, year-to-date, $11,400. Budget amount, $16,500. Line usage account. Unsecured payments. August, we received $324. Year-to-date, $10,152. Line usage fees. August, we received $66,029.38. Year-to-date, $675,053.43. Year-to-date, we received $618,853.20. Mayor, that concludes my report for the month. I'd like a motion, please.
Motion to approve the treasurer's report for August 2021 as read. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Controller, Mr.
For September 14th, 2021, the General Fund Community Bank checking account, the bank reconciliation as of August 31st, 2021. The beginning bank balance as of July 31st, 2021, $298,277.08. Deposits made, $169,439.80. Expenses, $432,232.98. The ending balance as of August 31st, 2021 was $35,483.90. The outstanding checks, $22,231.06. Outstanding deposits, $23,955.44. Reconciled balance to the bank statements, $37,208.28.
Rosalie, we just want to say we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, glad you felt that.
You're doing well.
I do have a question on this one. That $37,208.28, is that what's sitting in the general fund account right now? Barring some check clearing in the last day or so?
Yes.
Or is it the amount on the agenda?
That's the amount,
Well, why doesn't it match the general funds of
there's
$72,721.47?
the outstanding.
Well, that's as of the 31st, right?
Yes, yeah, August 31st.
It's a certain date,
Right,
It
right.
changes after that.
Right.
If you put money and stuff in the bank, that amount is when
This
it's
is
on.
as of August 31st.
Okay, that's what I want to know, so thank you.
Okay, moving on to new business. I'd like to make a motion to rescind and vacate the improper appointment of Donald Byron to the City of Monessen's Redevelopment Authority in accordance with Resolution 25 of 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any further questions since we discussed this? And I'm going to keep the rest of the discussion limited since it would be a potential litigation matter according to the solicitor. And this goes for the items A through G.
Well, I think we may have some questions there, Mayor. My first question would be is, as of right now, and I'll direct this to Tim, is it understood that once someone is sitting on authority, they cannot be removed for whatever reason except by a judge?
So, and that's one of the questions that I think needs to be answered by the court.
Correct.
I'll tell you my view of it, and once again, I was not asked to fully analyze and evaluate this entire situation. That's one of the things the special counsel was looking at. I do have serious legal concerns about the initial appointments that were made, particularly the procedure that was used in the validity of those appointments. And I should preface to say, you know, hey, I know all of you guys up here, and I respect all of you and like all of you. So that is not, you know, a biased opinion. Truly, I think that there are legitimate concerns about those initial appointments. That being the case, I also have reservations and some open legal questions about the ability to make additional appointments and, you know, how that would play out in court, because there are some gray areas associated with that. And that's why if counsel would like to get those questions addressed and resolved, these motions would ultimately set that up to be resolved by a court. And that's where these motions would take that to be resolved by a court if council believes that is a worthwhile endeavor, and that's where they would like those questions to be resolved.
So, if I'm understanding you correctly, then your opinion as our solicitor should be to let the courts decide this, not us.
If council wants to address this question, have this issue resolved, it's an issue that would need to be resolved by the courts, and these motions would be the means by which council could force that issue to be resolved by the courts.
Is it declaratory judgment act?
I'm sorry, who's talking?
Well, I probably shouldn't.
I'm
sorry. I'm just asking if it can be done as a declaratory judgment act.
Well, I think that's one of the strategies. Like I said, I haven't been fully involved in the discussions with special counsel, but there are, you know, means that they could be used in order to do that. These certainly would be one of the options to actually address this.
So my question, yes or no?
Why aren't you? Why weren't
Yeah,
you? You're
my-
a solicitor.
So my question, I'm gonna pin you down, Tim, I'm sorry, I do like you too. It's yes or no? Does council have the authority, whether it votes in favor or it doesn't, to remove individuals from an authority? That's a yes or no question.
So it's, and as a lot of things in the law, that is a gray area based on the factual scenario of this situation. So there are concerns about the validity of the initial appointments and whether or not those positions were actually, validly appointed and whether people are validly holding those positions. And also understand that there are concerns about the fact that people have been holding those positions for some time and whether or not, there is the ability to remove those people at this point. I completely understand that those are valid legal questions, and so it's not as simple as a simple yes or no answer.
I can appreciate that, but my question is going to be is if, and the last thing we need is this to happen, is if this council chooses to say, oh, these were inappropriate, and oh, we're appointing 2 new people, are we opening ourselves up for another lawsuit that this city doesn't need? That seems to be lawsuit heaven around here.
I would not think that the city itself would be opening itself up for another lawsuit beyond any action that's required in court to address these specific motions themselves.
Okay, I guess I'm not understanding.
This is ultimately going to end up in court, right?
Right.
It's gonna all end up in court as one issue altogether.
I get that, but you can't have 2 redevelopment authorities acting same, differently, or whatever, because,
Right.
no, I can do this, no, you can't, no, you can, I can. That's not for us to decide. So, can that pose a situation?
I mean, absolutely, and that's why it would need to be resolved by the court at that point.
Okay.
That's how, like I said, the fact that that situation is created is what requires it then to be resolved by the court.
So what is your legal opinion that we should do then?
That's an issue for executive session. We would need to talk about that in executive session.
So should we table this until we have an executive session so we can fully understand
We
it?
can go into executive session right now,
Well,
but
it's late.
I'm not tabling.
Let's do how they're gonna do it. Let's go into the executive session.
I told
should
you
not have
before,
to
we should have
wait.
just dissolved it. Then there would be no board. There would be no legal,
But there is now, possibly.
well, that's because they wouldn't listen to me. You make a motion, I'll second it to dissolve the board of
Well, we can't do that.
next meeting.
Call the roll.
Wait, I don't think
We have a motion and a second.
and Tim just said he
Did we
felt that we should talk in
discuss this in
executive session.
No,
executive
I said if council wants to discuss it, they could take that into executive session
I-
as a litigation item. That's council's
we-
prerogative though. if
I don't
you
see a
want to
point.
get-
I say we try to remedy it, and if it's not remedied, we dissolve the board. And then the city gets all the properties and they can figure out what to do.
When it comes January, it's good for July.
That's it.
Call the roll.
So this discussion doesn't matter, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying, that discussing this as a council doesn't matter?
We're
having a
discussing it now.
discussion.
We had almost 2 hours of discussion on various topics. This needs addressed. It wasn't done properly in the first place.
See, that's precisely my point. If redevelopment authority meetings had been held on city property, we all would know what's going on. But that wasn't the case. They weren't held here. That were part of the problem.
The problem I have about this is the undue cost that this should not be occurring that could reflect.
The
tax.
appointment should have never been made in the first place.
Yeah, if you hadn't made it a proper appointment, this would not even be coming up.
If it had been held,
Yes.
hey,
That's a matter of opinion.
It's a matter of
Let the court
what
do
the
it.
urban redevelopment law says.
Then we will.
No, they
Mr.
have-
President, we have a motion
have
on the
to
floor. I move that we vote.
Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas,
No?
Councilman Gregor,
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski,
No.
Councilman Coles,
yeah, aye.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Make a motion to rescind and vacate the improper appointment of Louis McGrakis to the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority in accordance with Resolution 25 of 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
My same argument.
Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
No.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
No.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. Make a motion to appoint Ted Harhide, a resident of the City of Monessen, to the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority Board for a term to expire December 26, 2024, pursuant to the Urban Redevelopment Law 35 PS 1705 and in accordance with Resolution 25 of 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
Question. And really, I'll just put C and D right together on this, even though they're separate things, so I don't waste time. Is, as Lois has pointed out, you already knew what you were going to do. That's a foregone conclusion, because this agenda is not the same as the work session. Okay, that's a foregone conclusion. That's besides the point. We weren't told, but it showed. Okay, so that had to be discussed. I'd like to know where the hell it was discussed at, because it sure didn't happen with me and Lois. So I don't think these two things just popped up out of the air and said, oh, let's do this. I don't think it works that way. I think something else happened, and we can discuss that at a later time. It's getting late. But if that being true for a second, why aren't you, as you were doing farther down here in a motion, that you're advertising people?
It was recommended by special counsel to do it this way, and that's a litigation matter.
Special counsel does not overrule
It was-
our solicitor.
It was recommended by special counsel.
Then where's
to
it in
do
writing?
this way.
I want to see it in writing before
It
anything.
is not in writing.
Then it's hearsay. And Mr. Tim, is
If
that
you
true?
don't trust my
Documented.
word, then that's your.
It's not documented, it didn't happen.
Obviously, it's not a court of, this isn't a court of law, so we're not subject to the rules of evidence about hearsay, but to the extent it's presented here, you know, if there's nothing in writing indicating that it was here at the meeting, there's nothing presented here.
You know, it's amazing. I came here for years, and I looked at the agenda, and I watched motions get made, motions passed, and there was never any discussion. None. I don't know when the discussion, actually I do know when the discussion took place, because I've seen the videos, I've seen some of the emails, so I know when the discussions took place. They weren't here. It wasn't in public. But now all of a sudden, because you're not in the majority, everything has to be by the book, perfectly, no, let me finish. Everything has to be done exactly the way you want it to be done. But before these meetings, there was 2 a month. Everything was there, everything was voted on. There was never a discussion. It was all just a vote. When did you have your discussions? I know when you had them. When did you have them? You had them during your email meetings. I had them.
Then produce them.
I will.
No.
No. You want me to produce them? Do I have your permission to release those emails? Do I have your permission?
We had
Do
our
I
meetings
have
right
your
in front of the
permission to
public.
release
Whenever we
those
voted,
emails?
whenever we voted
Do I
right in
have
public to
those
public.
permission to, the meetings that you had behind, only by email? Do I have your permission?
We had meetings right in front of the public, we voted right in front of the
You had your
public.
discussions by email. That's why when I was told by the guy from the state, do not discuss stuff via emails because it could be construed as a violation. And it can be. Unfortunately for the people of Monessen, they weren't aware of what was going on. I wasn't aware of what was going on. I am now.
So my only question was, and it started out, and I apologize.
I'm going to release them if you want me to.
My question, though, to the area is, why didn't you open it up for people to apply?
It was advised to do it this way by special counsel. If you want to discuss in an executive session.
Okay,
we will.
let's assume for a second, special counsel said you should appoint 2 people. For sake of argument. How did you get to the point of the 2 individuals, and nothing against them, that they're the ones that got appointed out of the thousands of people that live in the city?
I'm not going to discuss it to open the floor to them being character assassinated, because that's what you're trying to get at.
I think I asked a legitimate question.
And I'm not going to answer it.
And is there a reason why we have a solicitor that we don't use for counsel and we're paying him? Tim is very well, I think, a person who can handle those questions. Why aren't we using our solicitor? Why aren't we using him?
I mean, we're using
I have a
it.
question. No, we didn't. Why didn't we use him? We're supposed to
We
use
retain
him.
special counsel for
Didn't
those
Why?
matters.
we have an executive session as
Yes,
to
we did.
that?
Why didn't you use your
Yes, we
own
did.
solicitor?
We had that conversation
We
at
did
that
have that
executive
conversation.
session.
Why aren't you
We
using our
had that
unsolicited?
conversation.
We had the
in executive
conversation when
session.
yep.
We had that conversation.
No reason.
Now
why
you're
we
saying
don't
we
use it.
didn't?
I'm saying, why aren't we using,
We had that conversation in executive session.
I don't understand why we're not using our unsolicited. You don't have to.
There's a
If it's on the
motion,
agenda that we didn't see prior to.
there's a
coming to this
motion on the
meeting.
floor.
You understand?
Beg your pardon?
I
There's
said,
a,
there's stuff on the agenda like this that was not privy to me and Lois prior to this
there's
morning.
a motion on the floor, call the roll.
Councilman McGregor,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
No.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
No.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. I make a motion to appoint Mark Galpert, a resident of the city of Monessen, to the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority for a term to expire December 27th, 2023, pursuant to the Urban Redevelopment Law 35 PS 1705 and in accordance with Resolution 25 of 2021. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
I have a question, and Mr. Gelfer, I was on the redevelopment authority when I first came with you, so my respect to you, sir, what you did, and everything else. And this has nothing to do with you, but is,
Beg your pardon, you talking to me?
no, sir, I'm talking to Mr. Gelfer.
I have a hard shell, so.
No, this isn't just a question that could be approached to you or anybody else, the situation, and this is to Tim. That is, if you are convicted of a crime in the state, are you not eligible to hold an office?
So the analysis is that it all depends on the nature of crime.
Correct, and that's what I'd like just clarified, that's all.
Yeah. So it's the nature of a crime. So if it's a felony conviction, that would generally disqualify from holding office in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
I'm sorry, Mr. Coles, I didn't hear you.
I wasn't talking to you.
That's why I didn't hear you.
So,
Okay.
so
Exactly.
to repeat that, if it's a felony conviction, that would generally disqualify to hold public office in the Commonwealth of
But
Pennsylvania.
if you have a criminal record, does that disqualify you?
That alone does not disqualify.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I want it clear, because I don't want for anybody's sake that it comes up or anything
I
else.
wouldn't want to be appointed if I was legally,
Well, this clears the air, this clears the air on it, and that was the reason for my asking the
That was
question.
good.
And just to clarify, so that's based on a constitutional provision, Pennsylvania's Constitution, and it's defined as an infamous crime, which is defined
There
as...
you go.
Every so often.
Councilor Chakowski,
No.
Councilman Coles,
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas,
No.
Councilor McGregor,
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. In accordance with the foregoing motions, I make a motion to adopt and approve Resolution 25 of 2021, a resolution of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, rescinding certain unauthorized and improper City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority Board appointments and properly appointing 2 members to the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority Board pursuant to the Urban Redevelopment Law. Is there a second?
Second.
Questions? And to clarify, this basically outlines all of these A through G, or A through B, rather. Call the roll.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
No.
Councilor McGregor,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
No.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. Make a motion to authorize the mayor and council to send a letter to the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority notifying the board of Resolution 25 of 2021. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Questions?
What's that letter going to state? I mean,
I'm going to send the resolution.
just a resolution is what
Yeah,
you're saying?
and notifying of the appointment changes. Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas,
No.
Councilor McGregor,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
No.
Councilman Coles,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. I make a motion to authorize Special Counsel Gatens to carry and Nicholas P.C. to enforce, if necessary, Resolution 25 of 2021 by filing an action in the Court of Common Pleas of Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Question?
Question, 2 things, Mayor. 1, did we not at a prior meeting already authorize them, as Mr. McGregor said he remembers?
We authorize them to look into this and retain them as special counsel. This is authorizing them to enforce this resolution if they have to.
Isn't it the same thing?
No, it's not.
So technically, the prior one was an engagement that covered just general action. This would be a specific authorization to take any legal action and file the necessary action in court. So
And have we incurred any legal costs up to this date so far?
I believe so.
What are they, please?
John would know them.
$12,300.
12 grand that we're spending out of taxpayer money.
Well, you didn't blink when you spent 110 on the last solicitor.
Well, that's why I wanted to dissolve it with the chief.
Call the roll.
Councilman McGregor?
Aye.
Councilman Wozzachowski?
No.
Councilman McCollum?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
No.
Mayor Sherrill?
Yes.
Councilman, Mayor, I need to take a break.
Okay. Take a pause for a minute.
While you're in a pause,
What's that?
before I go, I always try to keep
I think
professional.
you're
Does anyone have any questions for the fire department before I leave? How about you? I'm still interested in your issue.
You just saw him
I
yesterday.
haven't forgot about you.
She's still looking for a fire hydrant.
You
This
didn't recognize
isn't a
her with
question,
that
this
mask
is a
on, huh?
comment. I just want to say I live near the fire department up on the hill, and I hear you guys going out on calls all hours of the day and night.
Donnie has the numbers. We had 61 calls last month. We averaged about 16, so.
Well, I keep you guys in prayer, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Yes.
I live next to a property that you are currently using as a test site for your hoses and the 400 motherall. In fact, there was 3 or 4 months ago, we had the entire fire department out there climbing through and spraying hoses, and therefore making the structure even worse, and we're using it as a test site for training for your employees or the firefighters. And if we're using that for that particular purpose, why can't we have that building either made into that or torn?
Who owns 400?
It's privately owned by an individual in Pittsburgh.
That's how they have the right to use it?
I didn't know they were using it, so that's news to me.
I got videos of the fire department farmer in there.
It's a tax delinquent property in the owners of Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Have a good evening, all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
As soon as Gil's back, then we'll reconvene. You could say it at the end. You could say it at the end.
I can say it.
At the end. At the end.
Ron, in back. Okay.
9 o'clock is my best time.
Makes 2 of us. I get up at 4.
I get up early, but 9 o'clock is my best time.
Pat, we're gonna come tomorrow.
Okay. That's it. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 24 of 2021, a resolution of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving the program modifications to the fiscal year 2019 Community Development Block Grant Program. Is there a second? And for clarification's sake, this is reducing the budget amount for McKee Avenue and 4th Street from $134,477 to $77,342, since the gas company will be paying for the reconstruction of half of the road after they install new gas lines, and then we'll have to do the intersection of 6th and McKee, and then the 4th Street section. It makes no sense to fix the road when they're going to dig it up again. So we're waiting on their authorization that whenever the gas company is going to start. We were told about it last year, and they still haven't started. So hopefully it's before the fall. It also deletes the budget line item amount of $36,865 for Grand Boulevard, since improvements to that street have already been accomplished using previous year's CDBG funds. It creates a new project activity for public facilities improvement to the Monessen Civic Center by installing a new HVAC system for a budget amount of $80,000. And that is a city-owned building. And it creates another new project activity for a public facilities improvement to the Hilltop Fire Station by removing and rebuilding the bulging bricks and cracks in portions of the exterior masonry walls and installing new stainless steel lintels for a budget amount of $14,000. And this is because the roof was not repaired when it was leaking, and it caused structural issues that need to be addressed immediately. Also a city facility. Any questions on any of that? We had our CDBG hearing yesterday.
When was the last time we made contact with the VC about the McKee?
John's been reaching out. I don't know, when's the last time you reached out for McKee? You were in contact with the gas company, weren't you?
Yeah, it's on the gas family schedule. It's just that they've had emergencies and they've moved some of the programs up because of it. So we just have to wait for them to do it. It's a brick street, so I mean, there's no, you have deterioration, but it's not as if it was an asphalt street.
It's horrible. It's
Fourth
like
Street is bad.
Gullies,
Yeah.
there are gullies in McKee. You
Yeah.
can tear your car up if you go to McKee. There are
Well,
gullies.
I think it'll be good because the gas company will have to fix it and pay
Right,
for it,
I
and
know.
not us, so.
So what, you don't know when was the last
No,
time we
I
actually
don't have
contacted them?
exactly, no. They were supposed to do it last October.
Right, that's what I mean, so it's
Yes,
almost a
it
year,
is.
but we haven't heard from them in a year?
No, it's in the year, they've had up an optic, and then they had a special job
Instead, they
there.
decided to tear my street apart.
Yeah.
We'll just keep
I just
nagging
have
them,
people
but-
live there, and I'm down there a lot, because I have family down there, and they're always asking me,
Yeah.
when are we doing?
And I've messaged some people up there too and told them that we're waiting on the gas company to start it, so. And then we'll, like I said, we'll connect the other paved section and then the 4th Street section to the viaduct. Any more questions?
Yeah, just question, on the two things. We will be entertaining bids?
Yeah, we have to, we legally have to. We got quotes to do the budget, and then they have to be sealed bids.
You have to advertise and get to it.
Yeah, just like every other
Just like
CDBG
every other.
project.
We put down a working number, and then we'll put an ad in the paper and advertise.
For sealed bids. Do-
Go ahead, Al.
Oh, call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. And I'll get the next one rolling while we go through them. Make a motion to approve Resolution 26 of 2021, a resolution of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, approving a budget revision to the fiscal year 2020 CDBG CV program. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And while we're waiting for Councilman Orzachowski, excuse me, this is to reduce the budget for administration costs from $34,871 to $7,430.
Councilman Coles?
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the final reading and adopt Ordinance 1245, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 175 of the codified ordinances of the City of Monessen as related to curfew and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
Second.
And this is to add sidewalks and rights-of-way to the curfew language. This was recommended to the police department based on the issues that they've been seeing. So this will strengthen the curfew ordinance. Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orzachowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve and the final reading and adopt Ordinance 1246, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, ratifying the establishment of a Police Accountability and Internal Affairs Board by and for the City of Monessen, ratifying the appointment of its members, establishing a Police Accountability and Internal Affairs Policy, establishing a process for internal affairs investigations, establishing an accountability review process, establishing a formal complaint procedure, establishing an investigation procedure, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
Second.
And this is just ratifying what we did last year in a resolution in ordinance form. Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the final reading and adopt ordinance 1247, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to adopt a municipal stormwater management plan by and for the City of Monessen. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the final reading and adopt ordinance 1248, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, directing the city treasurer to no longer accept partial payments for property taxes, garbage fees, and other miscellaneous payments owed to the city due to the requirements under Pennsylvania local tax collection law being unmet and due to recommendations from the city auditors, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we will have the ability to amend this in the coming months. We needed to get this done so that garbage bills can be printed. But for those of you that didn't hear, we have been accepting partial payments, and by that I mean you come in and you pay $20 or you pay $30. It's not allowed, and it's an accounting nightmare. If we do payments, they have to be, ideally for the software, that we have 3 equal payments or 4 equal payments, and that wasn't being done. So I know it's going to be harder for the residents, but we also have to follow the laws. But we will have some leeway in the future by amending this ordinance for other payments other than property taxes. But we have to get the garbage bills printed, so this had to be done. Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1249, the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, defining public nuisances for structures and properties, providing for the reporting and investigation of public nuisances, providing for summary abatement and abatement by prior notice of public nuisance, providing for statements of cost, administrative fees, and civil penalties for abatement of public abatement nuisances, enabling liens and establishing owner personal liability, providing procedures for notice and appeal of public nuisances, nuisance actions, and statements of cost, repealing all inconsistent ordinances, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And this is not to be confused with the nuisance ordinance that was referenced earlier tonight about properties. This is more specifically for blighted properties. What this will do is, instead of the city paying to demolish a property, and typically we'll demolish a property and then we lien that empty lot for the cost of the demolition, that's doing absolutely nothing except stopping people from obtaining that lot in the future. Though the previous owner that walked away from the building that we have to demolish has already walked away, so this will allow us to lien personal assets. Homes they live in, vehicles, garnish wages, and I guarantee that it will only take a few examples and this will stop, because there are people that live in the city that sit on these properties and they think that it's a joke and they do nothing about it and they're not held responsible, and if we lien the property that we tear down, it does nothing. So this is, there's Act 90 of 2010 in the state, and we have to opt into it. So that will be the next ordinance, to opt in and then put these procedures in place so that we could start going after people for costs of demolitions of properties. And I don't know if you had anything else to add to that. Did I miss anything?
No, that was good. So it basically makes sure that the city, in implementing any nuisance abatement actions, demolitions, going on cutting grass, removing junk vehicles, that you're able to recoup your costs, but it sets the procedure and specifically adopts the procedure under the third-class city code to make sure that you're complying with those requirements, meeting the due process requirements for property owners, and then ultimately to set the city up to be able to go after personal assets of repeat violators, in conjunction with the next ordinance, like you said.
Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 1250, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, adopting the provisions of the Neighborhood Blight Reclamation and Revitalization Act 90 of 2010, providing for permit denial and asset attachment and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And these two, this goes in tandem with the previous one. Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1251 for the first reading, an ordinance of the City of Monessen, Westmoreland County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 172 of the codified ordinances of the City of Monessen pertaining to the Uniform Construction Code, establishing a building code and property maintenance board of appeals, establishing procedures for accepting, processing, and deliberating on such appeals, and providing for an effective date. Is there a second?
Second.
We adopted the UCC some time ago, I think it was in the Smith administration, and there is no Board of Appeals, and we're required to have a Board of Appeals. So this is formally adopting a Board of Appeals. There's basically, currently, if you look at the ordinances, it just said the city shall have a Board of Appeals, but it doesn't say what or who or anything. So this is adopting that. Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to rescind an approval given at the August 10th, 2021 council meeting for a quitclaim deed by and between the City of Monessen and the City of Monessen Redevelopment Authority for tax map numbers 2002080382 and 2002080384, the lots on Moffett Street and Elizabeth Avenue. The city needs to control those properties for the USDA stormwater project. There's some rights of way through there, gas lines, sewer lines, so that's why we're rescinding this. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve a request for a handicapped parking space in front of 17 Linden Avenue. We have the approval from the police. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to make K2 Engineering the city's zoning officer on a temporary basis until a full-time code enforcement officer is found. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Jean Alo from the Environmental Advisory Board. Is there a second?
Tell her we said no. I'll second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the resignation of Jean Alo from the Shade Tree Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for approval to advertise the 2 vacant positions on the Shade Tree Commission and the Environmental Advisory Board. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to advertise, for advertising for RFPs for Animal Control Officer. The current contract expires this year. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for forgiveness of taxes of $3,006.48 to the city of Monessen for tax map number 2002070513, 422 2nd Street. Copy of the deed is in hand and the signed development agreement is as well. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? And I just want to say with this one, if you drive past it, it's on the corner of Knox and Second. It looks really nice already. They've cleaned the yard and painted it, so it's really nice to see that. Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion for forgiveness of taxes of $368.85 to the city of Monessen. Tax map number 2002070521. Property is 119 Knox Avenue, and a copy of the deed is in hand and a signed development agreement. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to set the 2021 citywide Monessen trick or treat to Saturday, October 30th, 2021 from 1 to 3 p.m. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions?
I do have a question, Mayor, but it's only just a personal thing, but I'd like it answered anyway. When did we discuss this and who made the decision?
We didn't, and I did because we had the same time last year, because the year before, when it was a night, the kid was mine. It's a safety issue. It should be during the day. And it also reduces the risk of someone being hit by a car.
Didn't we change it last?
Yes, we did.
We changed this last year.
Yes, and we had the same discussion last.
Yeah,
Last year, we waited till October to announce it.
especially with the situation that's been going on because of the South 14th Street, and apparently there seems to be a gang issue. I think sending kids out at night, talking to the kids, I don't think that would be wise.
Who sponsored the trunk or treats in the past at the street park?
That's a separate event.
Next one, that's
That's on the agenda. That's next on the agenda. Call the roll.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve a request to use the City Park walking track on Saturday, October 30th, 2021, from 4 to 6 p.m. for trunk or treat. In case of inclement weather, the event will be held at the upper parking lot of City Park. The sponsors are the Monessen Amphitheater Committee, Monessen Community Development Corporation, and the Monessen Recreation Board. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Hopefully, the weather will cooperate, because for the last 5 years, it's rained, and we've had to have it at the upper lot. But I just want to say, if any of your organizations want to have a vehicle, let me know. Any questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to accept the request of Alec Ricky Dick to hold the city's annual Halloween parade on Thursday, October 21st, 2021 at 7 p.m. in downtown Monessen, with a parade lineup at 6:30 at Eastgate at Wendell Ramey Lane. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? We can't take at the end. Yeah. Okay, call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor?
Aye.
Councilman Chakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following 11 structures to be demolished with CDBG monies: 1220 Knox Avenue, 417 Pearl Street. I'm going to go through these two, and actually I'm going to read the owner's names, because some of them are the cities. 1220 Knox, Keith Povich, it was caught on fire. 417 Pearl, City of Monessen. 336 Franklin Drive, City of Monessen. 210 Reed Avenue, City of Monessen. 217 Reed Avenue, City of Monessen. 301 Lenaway, Repository. 28 Schoonmaker, Robert Smolik, the roof recently caved in. 540 Chestnut, City of Monessen. 109 Elm, Ellen Grable, the back roof is caving in. 511 Summit, and 217 Perenni Boulevard, David Kreger. And originally 217 was not on the list, but the chimney collapsed into the house and blew a hole through the whole house. So when someone was about to remodel it, so terrible timing. Is there a second? Any questions?
On this, just wanted to clarify, so we've gone through the process of sending the letters out to the property owners to notify them?
No, we'll do that once we get further, yeah. Two letters, certified and stamped.
And then we'll.
Pictures, we'll have pictures.
Yeah, good, good.
We'll set up
have
the,
public hearing.
we'll set up their lead paint and check, and,
Call the roll?
Councilor Gregor,
Aye.
Councilor Chakowski,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Yeah.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod.
Yes. The police report for the month ending August 2021. Parking permits $480, miscellaneous collections $695, total receipts from District Justice Office $980.06, total receipts collected for August 2021 $2,155.06. Call log for service for August. Some highlights: 19 abandoned vehicles tagged. We have 14 alarms commercial, 21 alarms residential, 20 animal complaints, 147 assist EMS, 54 assist fire, 15 assist other LEA, including code enforcement. We have 12 domestic complaints, 23 fight or fray, 20 follow-up investigations, 19 hearings, 124 miscellaneous calls for service, 87 patrol checks, including county-owned properties, 119 registration checks, 14 suspicious person, auto, or circumstance, 89 vehicle stops, 4 warrant checks and arrests, and 13 welfare checks. Total monthly call log for Monessen is 935, and the total for the Westmoreland County Department of Public Safety is 976. The total calls for the city so far is 5,000 for the year, 5,957. And then for arrests for August 2021, total arrests 93, year to date 1,015. Officers sick, sick days, 15, 16, 17, 20 sick days. We have one officer that is out, unfortunately. And then mileage, total miles 5,799, and average total miles per day 187.7. That's the police report.
So we house prisoners from other places?
We get them, and then they hold them. They don't like to hold them for extended periods of time. So
I thought maybe it was because they didn't have like a place to hold them.
it's until the county takes them. Yeah. Councilwoman Thomas.
Okay. Just a few, I'm just gonna go some brief highlights. Street Department report, August 2021. As usual, they empty the garbage cans downtown twice a week, answered 40 PA1 calls, put up several signs throughout the city, cold patched several streets, took care of many complaints, cut city properties, cleaned up after 2 of the storms that we had, put playground equipment up at the boat launch, received this recycling bins, and helped the park department as needed. Just some brief things about the Monessen Public Library. They swore in a new board member, Lindsay Troilo, filling the seat of Kathleen Mappus. In November 21st, Sunday, they will be holding a presentation on the untold story of the Ferramonte concentration camp. And there's 2 presentations. The second is, I'm Italian, but could I be Jewish too? That program is going to be scheduled for Sunday, November 21st, 2021, beginning at 12 noon at St. Vincent de Paul, and the cost of that is $30. And as far as the RDA, August 2021, they sold the properties that were requested by the city to be sold. And that is my report.
Thank you.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Or Councilwoman Thomas, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
A situation at Fifth and Donner I mentioned to you
Yes.
a few weeks and months ago. There was 2 situations over the past week. Speeding through, not stopping. What has been the status so far on this issue?
But John has reached out to PennDOT several times, and they even passed it on to Brian. What's Brian's last name? I forget Brian's last name. So they are looking into it. They had to pull up the information again, but we've addressed it, and they are looking into it.
Okay, because when we had the red light, we never had this situation.
Right.
Once the red light was removed against my wishes, now somebody's gonna get hurt bad down there.
Yeah, because they looked at that, they said it was requested, and I'm not sure when it was, because that was before I came, but now they're saying, we're putting the complaint again, so they're trying to find a reason to rectify what's happening
Well,
down there.
I was
think a
not
red
happy
light
when
would
that was
Yeah,
removed in the
right.
first place.
Yeah, I know how to rectify it too.
I want to mention one thing, you had on there 40 PA1 calls. We have a fellow on staff on street. When the PA1 calls come in, it takes a minimum of 30 minutes for each call. So 20 hours this month, one of our workers has to go out and paint the lines. We don't get any reimbursement whatsoever. We actually have to pay a fee to PA1 call on a monthly basis. But that's for security, that they don't dig into the pipes and the gas lines and water lines. But that's one of our employees. Half the week he spends out there marking lines. So a lot of times they ask where the 7 men are working. Sometimes they're doing that. And you see the blue lines and the green lines and all. They're marking the lines up all the time. So that's what that PA1 call stands for. Okay.
And while she's here, I just want to give a shout out to Marcia, because she's doing stuff with the children's. I don't know if you had a report you usually read the children's report from the library, but.
Yeah, I only have several, I don't have all of
Okay.
them, not Marcia's, I don't have Marcia's.
But it's been hard, I know, for everyone, Captain Sue too, to try to get the kids to come back after COVID and get things back to normal with routines and stuff. So I applaud both of you for trying to get them into some sort of routine with programming.
And I will have somebody up on the roof checking to see what's the downside.
Councilman Orzachowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Parks Department, for August 2021, cut city parks and ball fields, cleaned up after the storms, which was plentiful, helped put up playground equipment at the belt launch, got the pavilions ready for events, cleaned up the amphitheater mud again for the storms, cleaned the civic center as needed, and helped the street department as needed. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thanks. And I just want to say, we, over the last, this year, we're up to almost 30 benches donated to the city by residents in memory of people. There's, the city installed 2 at 9th Street Park and 2 at 6th Street Park, and now at 9th Street Park, we're expecting to have 3 more from people who have just decided to donate in memory of someone. One of them was Tuffy, and then there's a few other people. They're going in at City Park too, left and right. So thank you to whoever's donated for them, because it really spruces things up. The 2 on 6th Street, people have appreciated it because some people carry their groceries up there, so now there's a place for them to sit, and we removed the bench that was tilting over the hill, so no one will get hurt from that one. So thank you to all those that donated for that.
One question I just asked, is it, I know they've been put there, but my question was it possible to have one that was like halfway up there so they could rest and then
That's where I initially
Yeah.
wanted it, but it's too steep.
There's no
now.
other location halfway up where
No.
it could have been? Okay.
It's too steep now.
Okay.
We would have had to basically build
Build it
like a
back up with
foundation.
dirt, okay.
Yeah, it would have been too involved.
That's
And
what I
then
was wondering.
behind the wall on Spoonmaker, there is a walkway back there with indents for benches. But 1, I don't think anyone knows that sidewalk is there. 2, it's completely overgrown and covered up, so couldn't put benches there either. So there was already a pad where the 2 are, 1 pad, and then when they couldn't put it halfway up the hill where the old bench was, I told them to just put it next to the existing one. So that's why there's none halfway up the hill. But that was the original plan, but it's just too steep there now. So, Councilman Gregor?
Yes, Code Enforcement Office Financial Report ending August 2021. Plumbing license was $1,415 year-to-date. Building permits for August were $75 year-to-date, $11,315.32. August demolition permits was $516 year-to-date, $686.50. Soliciting permits year-to-date, $200. Chicken permits year-to-date, $175. Street opening permits, $800 for August. Year-to-date, $75,400 $589.99. Magistrate code enforcement year-to-date was $1,467.93. Sign permits year-to-date was $1,189.50. Eat and drink license year-to-date was $300. House inspections, August was $150, year-to-date $780. Habitation permits, August $2,220, year-to-date $11,830. Landlord fees, August $100, year-to-date $20,180. Yard waste pickup for August was $150, year-to-date $675. August total was $4,011, year-to-date $125,804.24. Code activity report, habitation permits was 6, correction letters 8. Animal complaints 3, miscellaneous, miscellaneous complaints 28. Inspections, health 3, building permits 2, office meetings with residents 52, zoning permits 1, demolition permits 2, hearings 4, and that completes the code activity report. Mon Valley Emergency Medical Service Report ending August 2021. Emergency calls 156, fire standby 17, total incidents was 173. Fire Department report for August 2021. We had 14 automatic alarms, 1 assist police, 1 flooding, 7 wires down, 14 trees down, 1 motor vehicle entrapment, 3 motor vehicle accidents, 2 EMS assist, landing zones 5, 1 illegal burn, 3 natural gas calls, 1 fuel spill, 2 lightning strikes of a house, 1 structure fire, 1 motor vehicle accident in Webster, smoke in a structure in Webster, electrical fire, Webster, malicious false alarm 1, automatic fire alarms Webster 1, total calls 61. Total responding. God bless you. Yes. Was 1,068. Average responding per call 17.5. Total man hours 683.5. I don't really think that you folks understand when we have an average responding call of 17.5 people per call. That is outstanding.
And that number of calls too is.
The number of calls was high, but getting 17.5 people out on each and every one of these calls, that's outstanding. It's really outstanding.
Councilman Coles.
Thank you, Mayor. The following is my report, starting with item A. I'm asking for a motion to approve the payment of invoices for the general fund in the amount of $217,957.51.
Second. Any questions?
Yes, Mayor. AM Trust North America for $6,500.
Was that on page 1?
Yes, sir.
AM Trust North America.
First, that's workforce compensation.
Okay. I take it they had two series in the law firm for the.
Correct.
And our rescue systems for $64,000.
Owl Rescue System. Is that the SCBA, the first batch?
Yes, that's
The air tanks.
That's
for
the
fire department?
CV money, COVID money that we used for the systems.
Call the roll.
Councilman Grigor,
Aye.
Councilor Lorchkowski,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Aye.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Mayor Sherrill.
Yes.
Item B, I'm asking for a motion to approve the payment of invoices for line sewage in the amount of $83,228.14.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilor Lorchkowski,
Yes.
Councilor Coles,
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilman Gregor? Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Item C, I'm asking for a motion to approve payment of invoices for liquid fuels in the amount of $12,897.26.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor? Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Item D, I'm asking for a motion to approve payment of invoices for the park fund in the amount of $5,717.32.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor? Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Item E, I'm asking for a motion to approve payment of invoices for recreation in the amount of $1,504.35.
Second. Questions? Call the roll.
Councilwoman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilman Gregor? Councilman Orchakowski?
Yes.
Councilman Coles?
Yes.
Mayor Sherrod?
Yes.
Item F, the large dollar account balances for the month of ending August is, number one, debt service is $476,083.38. Item two, American Rescue is $472.54. Item three in the line usage is $97,614.02. Parks and Recreation, $95,790.50. In general fund, $72,721.47. That completes my report, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question on that, please. Question is, the 314,472 that we have left in American Rescue, is that the amount that we had originally got?
What was the,
No, we originally got 378,000.
So what did we spend money out of there that we didn't talk about?
No, we did talk about it, and it was the 64,000 amount of money that we spent on the, what's the prior equipment?
SCBA.
SCBA.
Because that can't be used for that.
Which is under the COVID. Yes.
No, Tim?
So there's so you've gotten two batches of COVID money right now.
Yes.
So you've gotten the CDBG, CVBG, CV
Right.
COVID money. And then you've also gotten the ARPA money as well.
American Rescue.
The fire apparatuses that you purchased, those, what were they again?
SCBA, the tanks.
Oh, contained breathing apparatus.
Is the CDBG CV money being used for that purchase?
No, we're using the rescue money for it.
Okay, so there's a different, if we're gonna use the rescue money for that, where's the different process that we'll have to use to approve that?
Yeah, cool.
Because we need to have that, so there's a resolution, we need to confirm that it's an eligible expense under that. The new regulations for those funds are coming out, the final regulations, I should say. Are coming out in October, and so that will delineate exactly what you can and can't use them for. But there is a specific resolution that will be required that you need to pass in order to use those funds, so we will wanna make
So
sure.
you'll let us know what that is.
Yeah,
So
I'll prepare that resolution for you guys. In addition to that, there's some revenue replacement money you guys will most likely want to approve as well. And we can incorporate that into that same resolution as well.
So if that's the case though, Tim, doesn't that money have to go back until then?
But, I mean, it should not, it shouldn't be spent from that source
Right.
until it's approved.
So this figure,
Using that resolution.
you can't
If they
take
didn't
that
have
out.
that in the regular information that came out, it wasn't specifically said, it didn't say that.
It wasn't from, it
No.
didn't specifically identify that as being the source of the funds.
Right, but the resolution, everything, we had to give an answer back to them now, but if we didn't have the information, that a resolution had to be given for that.
Are you talking about like the treasury or like?
Yeah, well, the rules will keep changing. I mean, they have changed, what, 3 or 4 times now?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So we can't be taking money out of the American Rescue that isn't allocated for that specific purpose. I just wanna make
No,
sure.
no, it is ours. We got $750-some thousand dollars.
But we'll have to pass a
Half year
resolution to
next year and
spend it.
half this year. So the rules keep changing, and we have this money in our account, and it is able to be used for COVID, for the fire department, and that's what we used it
Tim?
for.
That would, based on my understanding of the rules, so fire apparatus equipment for a fire company, first responders, generally is applicable.
Okay.
Like I said, we have to wait until the final regulations come out to know that, which once again, they're anticipated to come out next month. But we wouldn't want to actually spend those funds until we have the resolution in hand, like what we're required to do for record-keeping purposes. In addition, if you spend it before September 30th, which would be the case now, it will have to go on your October report. There's a yearly report that has to be submitted to the DCD and the Treasury Department. It'll have to go on that report as being spent in the very first year, so keep that in mind. But we'll absolutely want to make sure we have a resolution before funds are dispersed, authorizing that disbursement and identifying specific category under those regulations, the rule.
So I just
that
want
approves that.
I just want to make sure this is clear, that funds weren't distributed yet for something that could or could not change, that we don't know yet. And then they come back and say, that doesn't work, sorry. And then we gotta fork out and pay it out of something else.
I don't think so.
But you're not the federal government. And they're giving us this, and like Dawn said, it keeps changing and it's crazy, but that's the guidelines you have to deal with.
We'll make sure we do.
Did you say we have another pocket of money that can be used?
I mean,
That
there's
was
the
the
CDBG.
Right, do we still have that?
CDBG, CV, no, that's what we just voted on that today.
So we use that
was last
for
year.
another purpose then?
No, that was ordinance, or resolution 26, item I.
Oh, is that what you use for,
Yeah, I think that was the rest of that breathing apparatus, the CDBG, CV.
you said I?
Yeah, towards the top of the page. Resolution 26. That CDBG-CV, that's the COVID CDBG money.
And Mayor, I have two other questions after you're done with those.
Go ahead, I'm just gonna get the resolution in, go ahead.
Oh, she done?
Go ahead, I'm just looking at the
okay.
resolution, go ahead, you can go ahead, I'm going on.
My last question is the general fund, down to $72,000. I mean, it hasn't been down there in a long time. My question is, what are we using for this that should be moved or allocated from somewhere else?
I believe John paid off the 2019 debt.
I don't know, we never,
We're gonna have to make that resolution he's talking about, using some of that money to reimburse us for the American Rescue.
There is revenue replacement.
There's revenue replacement. We're gonna have to move that money.
So,
We have to go through the resolution process.
yeah, I would anticipate probably at the meeting for next month, you guys will want to approve using part of your ARP money. When I calculated it, it was about 140,000 to 147. I want to confirm those final figures, but it's about 147,000 that you can approve as revenue replacement. That assuming that nothing changes in the final regulations that come out next month, you would be able to put those into the general fund and use those for the provision of ongoing, just general city services. So you could use those for basically general fund expenses with certain exceptions. Can't go for pension contributions, and there's a few other small exceptions as well. But I would anticipate that you would want to do that probably at the next month's meeting in order to provide some, working funds to continue operating within your general fund.
okay. And the last question is, are we keeping a running total tab, if may be, of what is happening over at the other building?
Cheryl has that.
And what is that right now?
No total yet.
So you haven't spent the money over there?
The only thing we have is the PA Connect.
I've
We
been
got
told,
the bid for
PA
that.
I've been told the plumbing has all been changed and everything else, is that true?
He's in the process of doing that. I do not have a cost for that.
Whoa, wait a minute. Someone's in the process of doing something
What is it, what you say? didn't
I
hear.
said, my question was, are we keeping a running total of what the total cost will be to move over to the other building? And you said, if I remember, John, you said Cheryl's taking care of that.
Yeah, we have, right now, we have $7,000 of PA Connect to rewire, and Comcast will be in. That's not gonna cost us anything, because the service is the same. Right. We have 4 toilets and a hot water tank. And so we're right now about $1,000 in materials, and we have to get the labor hours. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? We addressed item 13 already. So, I open the floor to general public comment. Please try to keep it brief since it's almost 10 p.m.
I have a question about the parade. Why aren't we having the parade the same day as the Halloween? That's how most cities do it. You have your parade, and then the kids go directly from the parade trick or treating.
When Ricky made the request, he wanted to keep it as was in the past. It was always the Thursday before. So, because there are other communities that have other parades, so that way other people can participate in the parade, since we have
You have to kind of
less
schedule
people
your
here.
parade so you don't interfere with another community's parade.
Yeah, because then we won't have any
We'll have the same
parade.
day, we'll have our trucks.
Yeah, I just, for sake of, parents having to take their children out 2 weeks in a row.
Hey, they go out 2 days, we throw candy to them,
Yeah,
okay? They get 2 days. they
just
get to pick up
asking. That's how we always did it at other places.
Yes, my name is Norman Madison. I live at 22 Court Avenue, Monessen. I'd like to know, who runs that city park?
What runs what?
What?
Runs the new park.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by who runs it?
Well, who decides, whose name or whatever goes on that bill, on that pavilion?
I imagine council does.
Well, listen, my son died in '84. They put a memorial on last year, one of the pavilion. Actually, it was memorialized twice, one from the veterans and one from Westmoreland, 14th Courthouse. And they put my son's name on this pavilion up at City Park. Now, this pavilion is terrible. I would rather see my son's name put in an alley someplace where nobody can see it than have his name put on that damn pavilion that's up there. First off, the bricks are all falling down off of it. The roof is all rusted. They got 2 tables that I wouldn't even build a fire with. Okay? And it seems like whoever manages that place up there needs to go up there and look at some of them places that's being used up there. And then you're gonna charge somebody to use one of those pavilions. Is that ridiculous? Probably. Why can't somebody do something about it? I mean, you got workers up there, the place looks terrible.
Well, which
then-
pavilion is that?
It's Pavilion 3.
Pardon me?
Pavilion 3.
Then you got all these guys that you set memorials up for, okay, put their name up for a memorial, and they're really nice. And you got my sons up there in that junky pavilion. I want it taken down or put it someplace else.
Who
And
put it up? Was that Ron Promenade?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, who put it up?
Yeah, but he don't run that park.
We'll have to,
When was it put up? Just recently or?
It was
Years
recent.
ago?
last year.
We approved the
Last
request
year,
for all.
put up, the memorial was put up.
Yeah, it
And
was-
this year,
It was supposed to be up about 3 or 4 years ago, and they never did.
yeah,
We put it
this
up
year,
last
they put another one up from the 14th quartermaster in Greenfield. All right, and that pavilion looks terrible. I mean, you wouldn't want your child up there with his name on a building like that. I don't care who in Monessen goes up there and look at that. They ought to be ashamed to look at it. And it's terrible. And there ain't no reason for it. There's no reason for it. You know, when my son died in '84, he was supposed to be at the park right there by the back that they had at one time. Used to have a little park sitting there.
No, across the street.
Yeah, waiting to sit right here by Melon Bank.
I remember that.
And I got it on tape. They said they were gonna name that after my son. There was a little set place
And
there.
they just, when they tore that building down, they never.
Yeah. So they were gonna put his name there, then they changed that. And went someplace else, and they changed that. Okay, and I mean, this is ridiculous. I'd rather for you not use my son's name on something that looks like that.
Question, could the crew
And I
who,
consider my son as a
could the
hero.
crew
He
who
died. He
helped do
didn't-
the
he
boat
didn't
launch,
know.
basically
Come
get a
on.
crew together to help
Okay.
maybe?
We could
And I go
try.
up there and look at that.
We
garbage,
really need
and
to
I
spruce
feel
up all
sick in
three
my
of them.
stomach.
Yeah, I'm just saying, there's a crew that did the boat launch and the kaboom. Why couldn't we see if we can get that same crew and some additional people to maybe go up and paint it and do some things to make it look better? You know, I understand what he's saying, if you're gonna memorialize someone, you want it to be a nice location when someone goes to
I
look
agree.
at it.
If it's the one I'm thinking about, I don't think it's ever been touched since I was a little kid.
It's the
Okay, I don't even know which
small,
one.
it's the small metal one, it's pavilion 3. Closer to the tank, the one closest to the tank.
Oh,
The little metal one.
Part.
Yeah.
Of the city park.
You know, all the rest of them are nice. Even, I mean, hey, even the ones that haven't been in a war is nice. And they keep them up. You know, that plaque down there on at the end of town, where the veterans got that, they don't even put a flag on his daggone memorial. They put flags all around it. Everybody else there got flags, but he don't. Why?
Call me tomorrow.
I know that messes me
Call
up.
me at the cemetery. We'll fix that. We'll
Are
fix
you
it.
talking down here about the Sunoco station?
Yeah,
Which used
and
to
the
be
bad
that
part about it,
station?
my plaque, I own it, okay? It was given to me, and I gave it to the city. They said they were gonna put it up down there. I told, well and good. Before, I was putting flags down there, because there were flags everywhere else, there wasn't none by his. I mean, hey,
Call me tomorrow. I'll find you a flag.
and you wonder why I get hostile about this town.
No, I don't wonder. I understand completely, unfortunately.
Anyone else? Motion to adjourn at 10:02.
Thank you for listening.